Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to this morning's Mojave County Board of Supervisors regular meeting, January 20th, 2026. We're going to start today with an invocation led by Supervisor Gould, and if you'd remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Supervisor Borelli. Thank you.
If you would join me in prayer. Lord, we thank you and praise you today. Lord, we praise you for this great nation you've given us, this experiment in self-government, Lord. And here in Mojave County, we pray that you would help us lead the county properly, Lord. Watch over our employees. Many of them have dangerous jobs. Please let them come home today to the loving arms of their family. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag of a country that has brought more prosperity to the world than mankind has ever known. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hoorah. Carry on.
The Board of Supervisors may by motion recess into executive session to receive legal advice from the board's attorneys on any item contained in this agenda pursuant to ARS 38-431.03 A3, 4, and 7. Looking for a motion and action to call for an executive session to be held on February 2nd, 2026 at 9 a.m. for discussion and consultation with legal counsel in accordance with ARS 38-431.03 A3, 4, and 9.
So moved.
For that motion, do I have a second?
Second.
For the motion and second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you. Official business to come before the board. Discussion of pending or contemplated litigation claims and demands. Attorney Davis.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Nothing to report.
Thank you, sir. Committee and our legislative reports. We'll start with Supervisor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I recently attended the Water Board meeting out at Chloride. Happy to say we have positive results ongoing out there. Also attended the town hall meeting out at the airport at the Mojave College Training Center last Friday. Excellent meeting, and it was very useful to us. So that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Borelli.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I attended the County Supervisors Association LPC meeting a couple of weeks ago, and the board approved to support a House Bill 2022, which moves the primary election date up a week to the last Tuesday of July, from August to July, and also it modifies the curing period. Instead of 5 business days, it's just 5 calendar days. It was unanimously approved by the supervisors, pending the board, and it's moving through the legislature now.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Gould.
Nothing today, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Supervisor Lettman.
Yes, I have a report, Mr. Chairman. So Chairman Lingenfelter and I last week met with 3 members of the Bullhead City Council and staff to discuss the future of the Mojave County Airport Authority. I think most of you are aware that we've had an ongoing issue with the operation of the airport and the composition of that board. During the meeting, Councilman Gene O'Neill of the Bullhead City Council offered to visit the MCA board and the executive director of the airport and request the resignations of the board members. And that happened. We got the resignation notices, I believe, on Friday or Saturday. Was delivered to Bullhead City and to Mojave County, and 4 of the board members did resign. So we owe a lot of gratitude to Councilman O'Neill for what he did. Now, nobody up here is going to be taking a victory lap about this issue because there's a lot of work that has to be done. But I really think I want to acknowledge the unified effort and work of the other supervisors up on the board in supporting this quest we have, to get this airport turned around and return value to the taxpayers of Mojave County. Supervisor Gould co-authored a resolution back in August, 8 months ago, asking for the resignation of 4 of those board members, okay, and that now has been done. Supervisor Borelli was all over the financial aspect of this, and I thought his strategy of bringing JLAC into this fight was brilliant and well used. Chairman Lingenfelter provided great leadership and strategy planning on this, on how we should tackle this quest at the airport. And Supervisor Martin, in several public sessions, was the one saying constantly, what are they hiding? And we actually have an answer to that today. So I'm not making up what I'm going to read to you from a quote from the former president of their board, Bill Osborne. This is what he said, okay, to the Mojave Valley Daily News when asked about the resignations. If those people knew what I know and what Roger knows and what Mark knows, those are board members, and certainly what Frank and James know, they wouldn't just walk away from this, they would run away. They think they are so smart and that they're going to run this airport and they are going to bring the same skill set that's got the county in its position it is to the airport. Supervisor Martin, I think we're going to find out the answer to your question. A lot of time it's going to take, but again, this was a unified board on this. We still have a lot of work to do regarding the future of this, and I really appreciate the work from the other members of the board. And by the way, I also appreciate the work of staff, okay, finance and legal and manager Elters. Thanks.
Thank you, Supervisor. I would also say thank you to yourself. You were really the supervisor that sort of started this inquiry regarding the Bullhead City Airport. You recognized it as an underutilized asset and were interested in bringing maximized value of that asset for the citizens of Kingman. I also want to thank the City of Bullhead for their partnership. County of Mojave and Bullhead City are going to be working on this closely to make sure that this asset is everything that it should be for the citizens of Mojave County and the Bullhead City area. So appreciate that. The only other thing I would put up to the board is on the water side. During the governor's State of the State address, she just announced the latest active management area down in La Paz at the Renegers Plain Basin has now been designated as a subsequent active management area. I think that's going to continue until the legislature passes a more adaptable local control third framework for a rural groundwater management area. If there's, by the data, if there's a basin that's under stress. Otherwise, you're just going to keep designating as AMAs, and most of us in rural don't think that's the best option. So hopefully this legislative session, they'll come up with something as far as a framework that's far better for rural Arizona if it's a tool that's needed in a basin. Not all basins, obviously. And then on the Colorado River, we're rapidly approaching the Bureau of Reclamation's deadline of February 14th for the 7 basin states to come up with at least a framework that everybody might not love, but they can live with. So that framework can be plugged into the EIS process that the reclamation is going through right now. The current guidelines expire as far as the sharing of the river expires end of this year, and so everybody's really watching, and hopefully they come up with something by the 14th, the states. If they don't, then Scott Cameron, who's sort of the acting director of reclamation, has said that he's going to recommend some things that none of the states are going to like. So, and the last thing we want, there's really 3 ways that this can be solved. This Colorado River post 2026, the best option is to have all of the water experts in all the 7 basin states that understand their water come up with a solution that everybody might not love, but that can live with. The other 2 ways that this can get resolved is not in any of our best interests. You either have it solved by the Supreme Court of the United States, they don't understand water, and even worse than that, have it solved by Congress. And I think we would all be doomed if Congress had to decide for us. So that's all I've got. County Manager's Report.
Good morning, Chairman and board members. I do not have a report today.
Thank you, Manager Elters. All right, this morning we have one proclamation. Proclamation honoring the Mojave College men's and women's soccer programs, congratulating them on their historic achievements during the 2025-2026 season. I think to kick it off, and I think there's a video clip and something else that they want to, I'm going to give Dr. Rosso from Mojave College. If you want to come up to the podium, I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak and sort of kick this off. And Supervisor Letman, if you have anything that you want to say.
Congratulations, you've made us all proud, both teams. Good job. And let's just go through the presentation.
Sure.
And, yeah.
Good morning, Dr. Rosso.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman Lingenfelter. Thank you, Supervisor Letman. My name is Dr. Tremaine Rousseau. I serve as Vice President of Student and Community Engagement for Mojave College. We are still your community college, despite our name change a few months back. I just want to say to the board, we're very excited and humbled to be with you today. Thank you for putting us on the agenda and for this proclamation. We started this journey about 7 years ago or so. Our previous president, Dr. Klippenstein, had some members of the community address him and say, we need college athletics at Mojave Community College. And we went on that journey, and soccer was our first venture into college athletics. We are just finishing up our second official season, and we had unprecedented, historic success with both of our men's and women's programs. It is unheard of for many college athletic programs to have this much success so very soon in the program. So we're just very excited to be expressing our student athletes and our coaches' abilities and their talent with the community and our county. Despite the program being in Bullhead City, this is your community college and your community's soccer teams. So we are just very proud to be here. We do have some members of our soccer team with us today. We have some representatives from our women's team. The guys and the girls are both in the middle of the spring semester, so it's a little bit of a trick to get them riled up and traveling down here. But we do have a couple of folks here to visit with you today, so we can get to the video. We're just happy. Thank you very much for this honor, and I'll have our folks just come on down while the video is playing, and we'll get started. Thank you very much.
You.
Vamos!
Appreciate y'all being here today. We're going to get through the actual motion and vote to approve this proclamation, so I'm looking for a motion. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I just appear to have it so ordered. I'm going to read it into the record if that's okay. I'll be quick. Whereas Mojave College serves Mojave County by providing high-quality education and fostering student achievement through academics, athletics, and community engagement. Whereas the Mojave County College men's and women's soccer programs represented the college and Mojave County with distinction during the 2025 intercollegiate soccer season, demonstrating excellence, sportsmanship, and competitive achievement. Whereas the men's soccer team completed a historic 2025 season with an outstanding overall record of 19-1, earning national recognition and elevating the program's reputation on the National Junior College Athletic Association stage. And whereas the men's program achieved exceptional individual success at the national level with 5 student athletes receiving All-American honors, including Alan Salgado, named an All-American by United Soccer Coaches, Mauricio Velasquez, Velazquez, named an All-American by United Soccer Coaches and NJCAA Second Team All-American. Lazar Ramos was the United Soccer Coaches NJCAA Division I National Player of the Year. Chase Radford was Region 1 Goalkeeper of the Year. And Dominic Portali was recognized as second team Scholar All-American by United Soccer Coaches, whereas these honors reflect the collective dedication, leadership, and performance of the men's soccer student athletes, coaching staff, and support personnel, resulting in one of the most accomplished seasons in program history. And whereas the women's soccer team completed the 2025 season with an overall record of 6-8-2, competing with determination and resilience throughout conference play, where the team posted a 2-6-2 conference record and continued to develop a strong foundation for future success. Whereas the women's program demonstrated perseverance, teamwork, and commitment to academic and athletic growth, contributing positively to the college's intercollegiate athletics program and serving as role models within the community. Whereas student athletes from both programs successfully balanced the demands of collegiate athletics and academic responsibilities, exemplifying discipline, leadership, and pride in representing Mojave County. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Mojave County Board of Supervisors hereby recognizes and commends Mojave College, its men's and women's soccer teams, coaches, and student athletes for their achievement during the 2025 soccer season, and applauds the men's program for its historic national accomplishments and the women's program for its competitive spirit and continued growth. Be it further proclaimed that the board extends its congratulations to the honored student athletes and best wishes to Mojave College Athletics for its continued success in future seasons. I think we're going to do a photo op really quick, if the board would so choose to stand up. We have two presentations this morning. The first presentation is a presentation of the comprehensive Mojave County Mojave County Economic Development Department quarterly report to the Board of Supervisors, presented by Director Ursenbach. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to come, Chairman Linker and Board and Supervisors.
Could you speak into the microphone, Tammy? Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you for allowing me to come. This is hold on. Okay. So we're gonna. How do I get it up on the screen? Oh, there it is. Okay. I want to start talking about the business retention expansion program that we have in the county. Michelle goes out and meets with businesses, and she's been meeting with an average of 20 businesses per month, which is quite a bit to actually go out and spend time with them and getting to know them. So that's quite a feat in itself for her, and I'm very grateful for the work that she's doing. What she's learned is that things are pretty steady, thank goodness. There isn't a lot of challenges that the business are seeing right now. Tariffs have not bothered them, and they anticipated that there was going to be some challenges with tariffs, but it has not. It's actually helped to increase their work. And we've got a couple businesses that are actually looking to expand in the next 2 to 3 years. The other thing that some of the challenges that they found is obvious, always ongoing, is a trained workforce. The other things that they've found is the employees are struggling with tolerance, dependability, and staying focused at work. And the Gen Z has a work-life balance that they are wanting, and that's hard for the manufacturers because they have to stay focused and they can't be as flexible as that generation would like them to be. So they're trying to figure out how to do a work-life balance and still keep work flowing as it needs to be. Some of the other challenges are still simple not simple, they're still the same. We need more housing, we need better childcare or more childcare. Healthcare expenses are too high, and transportation to and from work is a challenge. We still try and continue on a daily basis to partner with the chambers, the college, and other organizations to help bring everyone together and be united. Oops. The next one is the grant that we've been working on, we know ends in June, but we have training that we do that is a free training, online training for people, for manufacturers and for construction workers that we can take into the schools as well as throughout the community. If it not only is for future employees, it is for current employees to help them to get the training that they need so that they can actually move up within their own business and maybe make some more money. And so that's been exciting. We've got 80 seats, but we continue to cycle around 60 to 70. We hope to fill the rest of those other 10 seats, but considering that they're cycling through and that employees are actually moving forward and some of them are getting raises, that's a positive for us. I think we need to get back more into some of the schools. We've tried to, but we would be able to fill the rest of those seats with school-age children if we did. The other thing is we're trying to get more businesses engaged so that we can help them to move some of their and get some of their actual employees moving forward. And so that's what our main focus is right now. And to be able to do that, we're working with the chambers now so that we can have introductions with some of those businesses that we haven't been able to reach and we don't know. We have incentives, and there's 4 different incentives that we can offer businesses, and it's not just manufacturing and construction or medical or hospitality. It can be in any industry now. It's just been opened up about a week and a half ago that we can, even the small little businesses, we can actually go in and help them to get incentivized to be able to figure out what's going on in their business and how we can help them to move forward, as well as with the workforce. The next screen is in our pipeline for new business coming in. We've got 1,555 new jobs that we have documented. And I say that because there's a lot more that the businesses are still unsure how many employees they're going to need. And we have $1,429.5 million capital investments involved that are in our pipeline. Again, there's probably more than that that's not shared, but that's because we don't have the exact numbers at this point. So with that, we want to know, and we're trying everything that we can. We want communities and businesses to know that Mojave County is open for business. And it doesn't matter if it's the very small business or the very large business. We will do what we can to support them, and we don't want to turn anyone away. And so that's been really important to us, and to keep the businesses flowing. Some of these businesses, a few of the businesses, not a lot, but there's a few of the businesses that have been in the pipeline for 4 or 5 years. And so it takes time to go through that cycling. And we have to continue keeping that pipeline open and filled so that businesses continue to come. So I wanted to give a sampling. It's really important that we diversify the businesses that we coming in. If there's something happens with our economy and one type of an industry starts to decline for some reason, we have to keep our community and our county flowing. And where are those jobs going to go if there isn't other types of businesses? And so it's been important for me to make sure that we're very diversified within that pipeline. So So we have manufacturing and logistics and healthcare. We've got greenhouses. I've got 3 or 4 greenhouses that are looking to come in. They don't have to be big, some of them are, but the idea is that we have lots of different types of businesses coming. We do have 1 or 2 data centers that are looking. That doesn't mean that they're coming, but they're looking and going through those processes. Retail, hospitality. So we've got quite a bit. We've got 44 projects in the pipeline, and I just wanted to talk about a few. We know White Hills has Entrada coming, but now we have more businesses looking beyond Entrada coming in that area. We've got Project Diamond is manufacturing, Project Bahama is a greenhouse, Project Monte Carlo is manufacturing, Project Fabian is manufacturing, Silver Dollar City manufacturing. So you can see we've got it. Running Man is family entertainment. And then we've got the I-40 trade corridor, and that's actually going to be lots of different components to that. But part of it is what we call now my mind's going to go blank, an inland port that's looking at the Griffith area. So it's exciting to see that actually will end up bringing in a lot more businesses as well. There's a lot more that's happening that we will be able to support and help to grow the county in lots of different areas. The next area is tourism. Now, that's not our main focus in our office, but it is a focus that we're working on. So we have our website that came up, we talked about last time, and that's starting to bring more people from around the world. Recently, we had a group come in from Taiwan that they were excited, Route 66, they wanted to see, and they were actually site selectors to bring in more people to the area. We have our regional tourism meetings that are monthly. This month we went to Grand Canyon West, and with that meeting and pulling that together, it took several months to coordinate and pull everything together, but it started a partnership that now, what can we do for coming into Grand Canyon West? What can we do also to bring them down to Kingman or Lake Havasu or Bullhead or somewhere else? How can we keep them in the county longer? And the marketing director that we met with there understands that philosophy. He wants to keep them up there for a day or two as well. So what can we do to coordinate and make that better? We're starting to create more marketing for tourism, and we're pulling together a lot of content to put into a magazine. We've got quite a bit, but we're pulling together a lot more because it takes a lot to make an actual county tourism magazine for Mojave County. And so that's coming close. We're getting closer with that. And then we're starting to get some small videos, and the latest one just came. It's short, I promise, but I wanted to play it for you. And I hope there's music for it. Maybe not. You might not hear the music, but you can see it. I'm sorry there's no music. It's almost over. It's a short one. And that's it. But we want to make sure and have videos that we can put on our website that we can share with others to get them to come. So that was an overall Mojave County one. We've got one we're working on with Route 66. We've got outdoors for ATVs. We got several in what we're working on. And the last thing is we went to the American Film Mark in November. And we partnered with Bullhead City and the city of Kingman. And Lake Havasu, unfortunately, was not able to participate, or the Colorado City at this time. But what we ended up coming up with is that logo, Mojave Film and Media. That is going to be for the cities are using that as well, not just Mojave County. It is now, we're uniting together and partnering together to make that work so that we're all on the same page. We have the same message, the same brand. At the American Film Mark, they talked to a lot of different people, and my understanding, because I wasn't there, my understanding is we ended up with the best booth that they had there, and most people wanted to come, especially our best swag that anyone else had, and they all wanted to come through. But That being said, we've already had 2 or 3 movies that have said, hey, we're going to be filming in the next year or two. Can we come to Mojave County? We really want to highlight what is in the county. And so that's positive.
Is it on vent? Is it from there on the outside bringing it in?
No, I didn't have internet apparently.
Do we want to recirculate that air?
Yeah, I mean, if it's
Whoever's
not.
talking, can you mute? Thank you. Sorry, Tammy.
That's okay. We also have had an inquiry of 3 so far different film production studios looking to come to the county, and one company has already purchased land in the county, waiting to see where that's going to go, but they've already purchased, they're already coordinating with the contractor to build AI production studios. So instead of just regular movie studios like they have in California, these are all AI, where they're going to be green screened, and these poor actors are going to have to really know how to act because everything they do is going to be in front of a green screen. That's a lot of work. It's a lot, but it's all combining everything together, and it's helping to create these movies that are going to be a lot less expensive to produce, especially where things have taken on the online and everything. We have to do things differently, and so they've had to step their game up as well. And then we have one page on our tourism website specific for film. And so if you go to that website, you'll be able to see that as well and see how we're supporting not just the tourism, but film into the community, into the area. And we do have quite a few people that have actually seen that and want to come to the area as well and look to see what we have here, because Mojave County is the best place for filming, for tourism, as well as for business. So we're excited that we can represent the county. And with that, I was going to keep it short. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Director. Any questions for Director? Thank you.
Thank you.
We have presentation number 2 from the Chief Financial Officer, Director Mornian, giving a comparison of the total costs per mile driven for traditional gas-powered vehicles versus electric and/or hybrid vehicles. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Lingenfelter, board members. Let me get this up here. And just to refresh the board's memory, this presentation was requested by Supervisor Lettman. He had some comments about mileage reimbursement rates back in December and asked me to provide some data. I will just say that the data that's presented in these slides comes primarily from AAA's annual Your Driving Cost Study. It's a study that they release each year that looks at all different vehicle classes and the total costs to drive each one of those vehicles. I just want to say from the county's perspective, policy-wise, we do reimburse employees using the IRS mileage reimbursement rate when they're required to use their own vehicles to conduct county business. This is limited circumstances. The county's policy and preference is that county employees drive county vehicles when they're conducting county business. Last year, the rate was 70 cents per mile. Since these slides were put together, the IRS released their 2026 rate. It's now 72.5 cents per mile. But when you're thinking about the mileage reimbursement rate, it's not just the operating cost. It's what's referred to as the total ownership or total cost. It's operating and ownership costs. So it's not just fuel maintenance. It is things like insurance, licensing, registration, depreciation, finance charges, all of that rolled in together. From the AAA study, cost by vehicle class, the overall average, if you're driving 15,000 miles a year, which is pretty typical, is about 77 cents per mile. And so this is last year's data. Costs keep increasing, so it's likely going to be higher for 2026, which is why you see that mileage reimbursement rate increasing as well. Comparing electric vehicles with hybrid or EV and hybrid versus gas, it's still least expensive to operate a gas or traditional vehicle in the compact and medium SUV categories. The hybrid is least expensive for medium sedans and your pickup trucks. And then electric is more expensive to operate than gas in all four of those categories. What's driving a lot of that electric is more expensive is how quickly electric vehicles depreciate or lose their value, and because that is one thing that is considered in here. I think Supervisor Lettman, when we last discussed this, you had pointed out that the maintenance costs are lower on an electric vehicle. That's absolutely correct. But when you look at the total picture, the total cost of operating a vehicle, it does put them a bit higher than gas vehicles. And so my recommendations to the board would just be that we continue to emphasize to employees that county business is to be conducted in county vehicles whenever possible. Use of personal vehicles should be limited. There's some limited circumstances that are set forth in policy where it is permissible with appropriate authorization to use a personal vehicle for business travel. And my last recommendation is just that we continue to reimburse that personal vehicle use using the IRS's mileage reimbursement rate. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to discuss or answer them.
Thank you, Director Mornian. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, thank you again.
Thank you.
Before we get into the consent agenda, I'm going to move 2 items up. First item is at the request of Supervisor Borelli. We're going to move up item number 32. We have a number of people that have signed up to speak on item number 32. We'll get through those if you want to get through. Supervisor Borelli.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and excuse me. When we get into these kind of things here, you have to remember we're focusing on process. I mean, this applicant brought it to Development Services. They reviewed it. The property is zoned properly, general use. They went to planning and zoning. They approved it and they sent it to us. Now, I want to discuss, here, let me hand these out here. I had to do some research on this because it's kind of highly unusual. So it's about process. The intent of a private cemetery is either family or a community. And I'll define community. There's like an example, a veterans community, so veteran cemetery, state miners, et cetera, et cetera. Community. Now, under Arizona Revised Statute, private cemetery means a place that is not licensed under Article 6 of this chapter, where burials or interments of human remains are made, in which sales or transfers of interment rights or burial plots are not made to the public, and in which not more than 10 interments or burials annually. Once again, we go into family and community. So, reviewing this applicant here, I noticed that we talk about community. The applicant is registered, and it's registered even on here. The applicant is Las Vegas Muslims. When I researched this, and my staff helped me research this, we looked it up. So under the Secretary of State of the state of Nevada, it's listed their occupation as a mosque. So, valid, okay. Their filing date was March of 2025. This property was acquired, basically, was also deeded over to them in around the same time frame, March of 25. But then when we started doing some more research on this, we noticed that the federal ID number, EIN, does not exist with the IRS. That is as of late on Friday. So I have a lot of questions that need to be answered. Like I said, it's about process. We have to understand that, okay, these folks want to be able to remove or bring human remains across state lines. So the question is, which ME report, which death certificate do we look at? Or is the body some kind of contagious? I mean, there's a lot of things that need to be addressed in this. I do believe this needs to go through more the state's process on this. When it's a private cemetery, they can create their own rules. They can change their own rules at any time. Once again, this is about process. They do not have a community footprint in the state of Arizona. They're not registered with the state of Arizona. It's all Nevada. So the other issues, but like I said, bringing human remains across state lines. I mean, who verifies what? Do we even know who's going to check let's just say you can use the MEs or death certificate from Nevada, but how do we verify that it's actually legitimate or not? So based on that, this is really not ready for prime time, and what really concerns me is their employment ID number is not even valid with the IRS, and they're listed as on their application here, they're Nevada Domestic Nonprofit Corporation. So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. I don't think it'd be answered here. I think these folks need to go back to the drawing board. I understand their intent, what they're wanting to do, and I appreciate that. But I don't believe their application is ready for prime time. So with that being said, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to deny this request.
Heard that motion.
We'll go ahead and second that.
Additional discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Attorney Davis, thank you.
only just because this is a public hearing, we have to open and close the public hearing before a motion could be considered.
Okay. Allow me to do that. I'm going to open the public hearing. Item number 32, discussion and possible action regarding approve the adoption of BOS Resolution 2025-200, a request for a special use permit for assessor's parcel number 317-45-073 to allow for a private cemetery in an A general zone in the White Hills vicinity, Mojave County, Arizona. We have several people that have signed up to speak during the public hearing. I'll call you up. You'll have 3 minutes if you'll state your name and your address for the record and for our clerk. First up is Douglas Myers. Douglas Myers. Peter Guagliardo, hopefully I said that right. You're on deck.
Good morning. My name is Douglas Myers. I live at 19308 North Deal Road, White Hills, Arizona. I live about a quarter mile from where the applicant wants to put this cemetery in. I agree with a lot of things that Supervisor Borelli said. There's a lot of questions that need to be addressed. And my concern is that, number one, we weren't properly notified of the meetings. The one that you had in November, there was no notification. There was no notification on the December meeting. I just happened to find out about this meeting when I went to check my neighbor's property because he was out of town. And there was a notice on the property, just the property. Nothing going down the road of Fairview, nothing down the road of White Hills, no notification at all. If I hadn't gone down to the property of my neighbor to check his property, I would have never known about this meeting. Other concerns is groundwater contamination. Muslims do not bury their dead in a coffin, nor do they put it in a concrete vault. They have to wrap the remains in a cloth and bury them. So we have to worry about groundwater contamination. I have a well, which is a quarter mile from this property. My neighbor has another well of his own. So we're concerned about groundwater contamination. from what I understand, if they're going to have a cemetery there, it's for family use only, per the statutes of Arizona health laws. There's just so many different things that have to be investigated. If you approve this for one applicant, what's to say another group doesn't come in and want to do one for their family? Maybe it's a Hindu family or Native American. They all have different rules. You allow it for one, you got to allow it for the next one. And it's just going to cause problems down the line. Sonny Borelli made recommendations about taxes with the IRS. Arizona Revised Statute Title 42-1110, Section 2, family only related, they're exempt.
Thank you, sir. Peter Guagliardo. Rick Cassidy, you're on deck. Peter Guagliardo.
I usually, I'm for urban development in a lot of areas. I live out in the country. I enjoy it out there. I have a well that I supply water to 4 of my neighbors and the cattle company. And I am concerned about having a cemetery a quarter mile from my well. I have 5,000 gallons standing there all the time, and I just replaced my well 3 months ago, about 3 months ago. I'm about 680 feet down, but I am concerned that if we have a cemetery real close for contamination and how people bury things. And I appreciate you guys listening to us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Rick Cassidy. Scotty McClure, you're on deck.
How you doing, gentlemen? My name is Rick Cassidy, 19864 North Earls Road, White Hills, Arizona, 86445. Also known as AKA Razor Rick in the area. Yes, and our concerns about water contamination, but I think it goes a little further than that, than the immediate wells in that area, because the wash takes all that water that comes down from the sky, takes it right to Lake Mead. So that can affect Nevada and everything else. And I just think there's going to need some more investigation on, is it just going to stay just a cemetery, or is it going to be expanded to a community center, a mosque, so on and so forth. So what are going to be the restrictions, parameters to expand their use of this land in future stuff? All right? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Scotty McClure. Valerie Tavener, you're on deck.
Scotty from Bullhead. This sets such a bad precedent, I can't believe it. This will turn into a commercial cemetery. I'll guarantee you there's over 20,000, approximately 20,000 Indians living in Las Vegas area. Why are they bringing them to Arizona? Is there any land in Nevada available? I just don't get it. The property values, the water. And I'll guarantee you, this sets such a bad precedent. There'll be a temple up there within the next few years, just like they did in New York City. Remember the World Trade Center and the temple? Once they're in, man. You don't even know who the owner really is. This is such shaky bull. Lydia Pence, what a great singer. Lydia Durst, do you guys have a title search? on this? What's the encumbrances on it? Or they guarantee in 10 years they're not going to put a building on that site? I don't see one on the title search. You haven't done that. You could have her do it right now, as a matter of fact, and move this to the end of the meeting. Cremation, embalming, they don't do that. Now, if I die in Bullhead City and I'm going to be buried at the National Cemetery in Nevada, I have to be embalmed. There's rules that they have, and I don't see any rules at all on this at all. So I guess if I die in the casinos across the river, I don't have to be embalmed. That saves me some money. But there's so much stuff here that you're just asking for a special use permit that will be violated. I'll guarantee you that it always is. Once they get the foot in the door, they're there. You ain't getting rid of them. Travel permits. Headstones. We're going to have a big temple headstones and the environmental burials. They want to put in 10 acres. Now, the ones that they have up in the White Hills is 60 to 70 graves on 10 acres, and oversized developments, loss of property tax value, yeah, big deal, 10 acres. But who's going to maintain it and improving it, such as fences? Who's going to mow there's no weeds that grow up there, so you don't have to cut anything down and maintain it, huh? The Mojave County Treasurer's website shows a named owner that does not appear to be valid.
Thank you, sir. Valerie Tavener?
My name is Valerie Tavener, 16348 Wallapai Avenue in Valentine. My concerns, and thank you, Representative Borelli, for doing some research. Other things that I found in this was, number one, it's not appropriate for a private cemetery. The organization that is listed on the property title is Las Vegas Muslims, and it says it's an organization. The person, I could not find a website. I could not find, the only connection that there was with Dr. Anjem Sohail, who the tax bill went to. He's a respected cardiologist in Vegas. And he was also the founder of the Islamic Society of Nevada. When he first gave a presentation in Vegas trying to get a school and mosque started in Vegas, he referred to some of his actions as having spoken to the ignorant, which would be representing the people who were opposed to the mosque, etc. Now, apparently he is respected in his role as a doctor, etc. But apparently from his perspective, which comes from the Quran, we are ignorant.
I'd say please keep it to the item as far as the land use.
Okay. The land use itself, the Islamic Society of Nevada, in their own words, and that came from their own paper, okay? They said that there are over 50,000 Muslims in Las Vegas, and that up to 2,000 people use the current mosque during certain prayer times. So concerns on that would be because they're not limited by going through the state regulations for a commercial cemetery, which goes through the Department of Real Estate for the authority to operate a cemetery. It's a long 7-page application, including engineering, number of plots, etc. A private cemetery was simply for family on a ranch, and they could even have their own burial within 100 feet of their well. But if you have 9.55 acres, and depending on unlimited burials. They can have up to 2 people in a plot, according to the other Islamic cemeteries that they have, can be in contact with the ground. Then
Thank you very
we have
much.
a potential problem.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The remaining speakers, I just make sure to keep it to the posted, published item and on the land use, please. The next speaker is Eleviterio Monterosas. Excuse me if I mispronounce that. Jennifer Esposito, you're on deck.
Good morning. My name is Eleuterio Monterosas. My daughter speak for me.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Delgado, and I'll be representing my dad. Property on 19168 and Deal Road. I strongly object to the cemetery being placed near my residential property. They would be right behind us, and clearly we wouldn't want to have a cemetery right behind our property because that's bad for us, and we lose value in our property. And of course, the water is important too because underwater risk, increased traffic, long-term pain issues, and it doesn't support the placement. And I know the state of Arizona cares about underwater and drainage concerns too. So I highly disagree that they should do this and place a cemetery. This would change the nature of our neighborhood over here, and it would ruin our property value again. So I just don't think it's right. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you both. Jennifer Esposito.
Thank you. Jennifer Esposito, candidate for District 4 County Supervisor, Kingman. When I ran for County Supervisor previously, I spent a lot of time in White Hills. I've even volunteered at the food bank up there, so I can confirm that there is no current Islamic population in the area. Most of the time, these sort of funeral situations for burial are, grandma lived on the property for a half century and we just want to, put her in the backyard kind of a thing. There are 2 Islamic centers in Mojave County, Masjid Ibrahim here in Kingman and Masjid Ishmael in Bullhead City. Both of them are Sunni mosques. I don't know if this proposed cemetery is Sunni or Shia. If they are not Sunni, then they probably wouldn't be getting any customers or whatever from the existing Muslim population in Mojave County, which seems to exist around Kingman Regional Medical Center. The problem that I have with this is that if you're going to allow interstate commerce, essentially, if it's not just grandma on the back 40, what you're really talking about, as Supervisor Borelli brought up, is you're bringing in people from out of state. I cannot imagine that you would spend money to develop a property for this and not charge a fee. That, especially if it's going to expand or develop, you would have at some point to at least have to charge for maintenance of the property. Someone would have to weed it, typical cemetery things. So what we're really talking about here is interstate commerce. And I don't think that that's been, fully figured out. I don't think that the Planning and Zoning Board took that into consideration. I was at that meeting. I didn't comment, I just listened. So really what we have here is a solution in search of a problem. There's no large Muslim population in White Hills that has no place to go. And I don't think it's a good fit for the community. And I don't think that Mojave County, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we have a Buddhist-only cemetery. I don't think that we have a Jewish-only cemetery. Maybe we do, and I don't know, or a Catholic-only cemetery. But if you do approve this, if you were to approve this, you would sort of be setting a precedent, and maybe we would have exclusive cemeteries on private property all over. But I think this is a commercial business, or at least I think it's a commercial business masquerading as a private cemetery. So just please take it into consideration. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Mohammed Faraz Alkber. Excuse me if I mispronounced that.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mohammed Faraz Akbar. I'm a resident of 8820 Cointail Lane, Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm in favor of this special use permit, and I've already presented my statement to the Board of Supervisors. I was not thinking of answering any questions. I mean, if board has any question, I'm here to answer the question. But since some people ask and mention a few things, so I would like to address if I'm allowed to. The location was chosen based on land availability, affordability, and suitability, not geography. Cemetery land near urban areas has become extremely expensive. This parcel was donated by the community member, as one of the public member mentioned, Suhail Anjum, Dr. Suhail Anjum, specifically for this purpose, allowing us to provide dignified burial without imposing any high cost on families. We are fully committed to complying with Mojave County and Arizona regulations. And there was also a question about if it is probably for Las Vegas residents. So this is for everyone. It is for people in Mojave County or Las Vegas, not based on their geographical location. And why White Hills? Like, the parcel is off-grid, remote, and has no immediate neighbors as per our research, which makes it well-suited for low-impact use. The location minimizes conflict related to traffic, noise, and compatibility while meeting zoning and regulatory requirements. It is not commercial. We are not going to charge any money for this. And, like the other question was about environmental issues. So I myself reached out to the Arizona Department of Health Services, and the cemetery will comply with Arizona Department of Health Service regulations, which are designed to protect public health, groundwater, and soil conditions. The site layout will meet required separation distances from wells and washes. Generally, in the commercial cemeteries, I found out it is like 20 feet of the setbacks which are required. The reason we have like this big lot, and we are thinking of keeping very minimal use of it, because we want to have like bigger setbacks, so that we make sure, even though the Arizona Department of Health Services does not dictate that, but we will make sure that we will have enough setbacks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That was the last individual that had actually signed up to speak on item number 32. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to speak on item number 32? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. We do have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion from the board? Supervisor Lettman, thank you.
So I had a couple of questions for Attorney Davis. A citizen, Mr. Fisher from Lake Havasu City, in the backup material, and for the other supervisors, it's on pages 31 and 32 of the backup, raised a couple of issues, and one of them was the need for a perpetual care trust fund per ARS. So is that in fact a valid requirement? And I assume, and it says the operator must establish an irrevocable trust fund dedicated to the perpetual care and maintenance of the cemetery. Is that in fact correct, Attorney Davis?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Lettman, for a cemetery that has been described in this nature, it would not be. The reason is 322194 exceptions. This chapter, which is what that requirement falls under, does not apply to any religious corporation or a private or municipal cemetery.
Okay, and also on the same page, there's the citizen's claiming that the applicant has to apply to the Arizona Department of Real Estate for a certificate of authority to operate a cemetery.
That would also be an exemption under the same statute. Those all have to do with the Department of Real Estate.
Okay, so these requirements are waived or bypassed because they're a religious group.
Correct, and a private cemetery.
Thank you.
Any additional discussion from the board? Supervisor Martin?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I had some questions about this concerning the Department of Health Services. Did we ever get any kind of information from them regarding these burials? And I noticed in our letter it says that they are committed to protections to the soil conditions, groundwater, etc. Do we have anything from the Department of Health Services that would tell us yay or nay on these kind of burials?
Would you like Manager Elders to address that, or would you like somebody from Public Health to address that?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not equipped or prepared to answer that question, but Melissa Palmer, if you're logged in,
Great.
I would ask if you're in position to respond to the chairman's question, or if we need to do further research and come back to you, Mr. Chairman.
It's actually Supervisor Martin's question.
Good morning, Chairman Lingenfelter, Supervisor Martin. We do not directly interact with that part of cemeteries. That's left to the Arizona Department of Health Services at the state level.
So we don't have any information regarding that right now?
I do not. I work on the side of death certificates. The other department that may have some knowledge of this might be Development Services under Director Holtree, but Mojave County Department of Public Health does not handle these types of things.
Okay. Personally, I think that's very important to know, given what we understand about the burials and about what the adjoining neighbors are concerned with. And my thought is we need that information to consider before we even rule on this. Director Holtree, do we have, or do you have anything that we can look at and say, hey, Department of Health Services in Arizona say it's okay?
Director Holtree, good morning.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, good morning. We do not at Development Services have any information in that regard. We strictly deal with the land use and whether or not it would be an appropriate land use for that property.
Okay, all right.
Any additional discussion? We do have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you all. I'm going to move one other item up out of respect. It's item number 42. We have Lake Havasu City Mayor Cal Sheehy. Good morning. And we also have Kingman Councilor Marion Ward. Good morning. 42 is discussion, possible action, approve a revision to the Mojave County Flood Control District and City Allocation Formula effective this year to incorporate additional necessary flood control factors, including percentage of floodplain area, assessed valuation, and population to provide more balanced and equitable distribution of flood control revenues between unincorporated Mojave County and the cities. Director Holtree, do you have a presentation or anything you'd like to share before we get into the comments from those that have signed up? Morning again.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I do not have a presentation, but I can kind of go over our current formula and what we use and then what is being proposed, if you would like.
Just really quick, thank you. Yes.
So yeah, currently we, let me get to my paper one second. So currently the Mojave County, we have a tax. It's a 50 cent on $100 sales tax that goes to our flood control division. And within that, we have an IGA with the cities to be able to distribute some of those monies to them as well. We have been operating under a formula. The formula is currently strictly based on assessed property values. The proposal is going forward that the need in the county for these flood control funds are more for those areas within the county that have floodplains and flood control issues. So interjecting a portion of that formula to allow for consideration of those floodplains is what is being proposed. So previously it was strictly based on assessed property value. The new formula would propose a portion of that, which is 35% being assessed value, 50% of showing what is the special flood hazard area, and then 15% based on population, which does distribute the funds a little bit differently. The one that's most affected is the Lake Havasu City area, but I believe it does distribute those funds according to the need for the county. And with that, I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Oh, yeah.
Supervisor Lettman, thank you.
Director Holtry, when the current formula was developed, who was involved in the development of that formula? I'm going to assume the cities and the county together were partners in that, correct? That might predate you. I don't know.
Chairman Lingenfelter, Supervisor Lemon, it does predate me. The formulas, I believe, we started distributing to the cities in 1999, I believe. And with that, I believe the formula was created. And I think it was updated in 2013, which still predated me as well. So I am not familiar with those conversations that happened at that time. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Director Holtry?
Chairman.
Supervisor Gould, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Holtry, I'm looking at your formula, and no, I'm not looking at it because I can't get there yet. Okay. So if we go under floodplain, your floodplain column percentage, unincorporated county, 81.66%. How much of that is BLM land? It's not going to be developed most likely in the near future.
I believe BLM land is considered in this formulation within the cities as well as the county. We determine the floodplain as a hazard, whether it's in the BLM land or privately owned land as well, because it will still have an effect downstream wherever that floodplain is. Even though you can't develop it in the BLM portion of the land, we still have retention basins and infiltration basins that are developed on BLM property to help mitigate downstream properties because they are affected by those flows.
Because I think that number kind of skews your formula. Because a lot of that land is going to remain vacant even if we do have to control the flood. You know, above Lake Havasu City, there's swales that channelize the water into the washes, and above Bullhead City and Fort Mojave, kind of the same thing. So I just wonder if that particular number skews that a bit too much towards the county. And I'm in a unique position because half of my folks live in Lake Havasu area and the other half of my folks live up in Fort Mojave. We have dramatic needs for flood control in the Fort Mojave area, and we do need to spend more money in the county than we've been spending. But I wonder whether that skews it a little bit. And it looks Lake Havasu is taking the biggest hit. You know, I think Bullhead actually picks up money, not too much difference to, I guess, $700K to Kingman, but Havasu takes quite a hit in this. My other question is, in the past, I remember amounts of money going to various cities at various times. And it doesn't seem like they got a check for that much money every year. It seemed like when they had projects going, we were moving money to those projects, and when They weren't, when there's a project going in another area, we were diverting money to the other area. Is that true?
Mr. Chair, Supervisor Gould, I'm not familiar with that. I know within our projects that Mojave County covers, we sometimes have to divert our funds to help fund one project over another project. But as far as the cities are concerned, we do just send one check per year.
Okay. Then it must have been the county money that we were moving around to help their projects. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call up Mayor Sheehy first as our first speaker, and then Councilor Ward. And then after they're done speaking, I'm going to lay out the logic as to why I actually even put this on the agenda. Thank you. Good morning, Mayor Sheehy.
Thank you so much for having me. Chairman, Supervisors, my name is Cal Sheehy, and I'm the mayor of Lake Havasu City. And we applaud the board for looking at this and taking a look at flood control dollars and taking a look at it from a countywide perspective. However, we are proposed to the formula calculation adjustment. As proposed, Lake Havasu City would lose about $1.4 million on this deal. We've wisely invested our flood control dollars over the years. In Lake Havasu City, back in the 90s, early 2000s, you really would have to think your way home during a storm event or a flood event. That is no longer. We've been able to wisely invest these dollars to protect not only the properties, but also the community and the safety of navigating through Lake Havasu City. With our population base, we still have plans to do so. We have wash stabilization plans, we have 5-year capital investment plans, and we have program plans in place to take care of these issues. With a change in this would basically take from one wash stabilization project that we could do a year, it would take it to one wash stabilization project that we could do every 2 years. We have some really large embankments and some really large wash issues in our community that we're working on, and these dollars are critical for that. We've been able to use this formula since 2013 to really put proper planning into place, and we would like to continue to do that. Certainly, we'd be available to sit at the table if we can have a discussion to find a way to do a formula that's more equitable for the county to be able to address some of their concerns. But we just learned about this process through the agenda being released at the end of last week. So appreciate your consideration, and again, we're opposed to this formula calculation change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Sheehy. Councilor Marion Ward, City of Kingman. Good morning.
I'm Marion Ward, 3240 North Apache. I'm also Kingman City Councilman. As the city, we depend on this money we all have flood problems. Every city, every county has it. And we build this into our budget. We plan on using it every year. And I'm against any change to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you both being here today, and I know that you're very busy and with the legislature and everything that's going on. Thank you for being here, both of you. I'll just read the logic of why I even put this on board. This is a tough issue, and I don't see that there's really any easy solution. So the question really is, how do we as the Flood Control District Board reasonably and responsibly balance everybody's need? Mojave County's flood control district is funded by a county-wide secondary property tax. That means residents and businesses in the cities and in our unincorporated communities alike are contributing to the same district and at the same district tax rate. The core purpose and mission of the flood control district is straightforward. Use limited public dollars to reduce flood risk, protect life and property, and deliver measurable mitigation results where the need is greatest. The reality today is that the secondary flood control tax rate is essentially maxed out, meaning we do not have any meaningful room to just raise more money to cover gaps or correct inequities. In a capped rate environment, the only responsible path is to make sure that the limited dollars that we do collect are allocated based on public safety need and measurable flood risk reduction. Arizona law places an explicit limitation on what can be levied for a county flood control district in counties under 600,000 in population. Statute provides that the aggregate taxes levied for the flood control purposes in that category of counties shall not exceed the greater of 20% of the county primary property tax rate, exclusive of the state equalization assistance property tax rate, or 50 cents per 100 of assessed valuation. In other words, the law specifically contemplates a 50 cent per $100 ceiling as a controlling benchmark. And Mojave County's flood control district is already levying at the max. The problem is that that our current distribution structure does not align with the mission and purpose stated of the flood control district. Under the current approach, incorporated cities receive the overwhelming majority of our flood control district funding, while unincorporated areas must share a relatively small portion of the resources, even though unincorporated taxpayers are paying the exact same tax rate, and many unincorporated communities have substantial floodplain exposure and urgent mitigation needs. The current formula creates an inequitable value proposition for our county taxpayers. Using the most recent official population estimates available as of January 2026 from the Arizona Office of Economic Opportunity, roughly 40% of our Mojave County residents live in unincorporated areas. That's nearly 2 out of every 5 county residents that live in an unincorporated area. Yet the practical result of the current funding model is that unincorporated communities receive about 20% of the funding, while cities receive about 80% of the funding. Unincorporated residents receive about 2.4 times less than city residents. In plain English, taxpayers outside the cities are paying into the same district at the same tax rate, but getting materially less return in terms of flood mitigation projects and risk reduction, so it acts as a regressive transfer away from our unincorporated communities and into the cities. A recent example is the September 25th through 27th, 2025 major storm event that severely impacted communities in both Gila County, including Globe and Miami area, and in Mojave County area. Fort Mojave, I think also in District 4 and Oatman and Meadview and other places like that. It was an event significant enough that the state requested a major disaster declaration for Gila and Mojave counties, and FEMA denied that request on December 23rd, 2025. At the county level, Mojave County documented extensive damage to county roads and flood control infrastructure from late September flooding and reported private property impacts in multiple unincorporated areas, as I mentioned before, including Fort Mojave, Oatman, Meadview. The lesson is simple. Flood impacts in Mojave County do not conveniently concentrate inside city boundaries. And the federal denial underscores that we must rely on our own capped local resources and deploy those resources where they do the most to reduce flood risk. The cities often argue that their residents should receive the largest share because city residents generate a large portion of the district's revenue. But a property tax funded district will always collect more from places with higher concentrations of taxable value. That does not necessarily mean that those areas automatically have the highest flood risk or the greatest unmet mitigation need. The unavoidable message that this currently sends, whether it's intended to or not, and I don't think it's intended at all, is that property inside municipal boundaries matters more than property outside municipal boundaries. That's a wrong message for a countywide public safety district funded by countywide taxpayers. Floodwire does not recognize city limits. It follows topography, watersheds, and infrastructure constraints. Our funding model should follow risk and measurable benefit in this same regard. Flood control is not supposed to operate like a rebate program where each jurisdiction simply gets back a maximum share of what its tax base contributed. It's supposed to operate like a countywide public safety system that targets investments into the highest risks and the best measurable outcomes. Also, I would mention that even though that they're not mentioned, the county, with its allocation, there's a benefit to our cities with joint projects. In the Kingman area right now alone, we have the Mojave Rattlesnake Detention Infiltration Basins, the Grace Neal Channel Phase 3 project, the Feldspar Basin Construction Project, the Crestwood Detention Basin Project, the Riata Detention Basin Project, Bank Street Storm Drain construction is starting now, Stockton Hill Road Flood Risk Study and Floodplain Mapping, preliminary mapping, fall 2026, three monitoring wells in the Kingman area, and then in Havasu, we have the North Lake Havasu Phase 1 risk map expected to become effective in September 2026. Havasu Heights study, that project began in August 2024, so will be submitted to FEMA for review in 2026. That's why I put it on the agenda for discussion. We don't have to have a decision today. It's for thought. That's why I think modifying the distribution formula is the responsible course. The goal is not to punish our cities, our valuable partners, or to deny real urban flood control needs. The goal here is to ensure that the district's funding model is aligned with common sense principles, fairness to taxpayers paying the same district tax, transparency in how dollars are allocated, prioritization based on flood risk, life safety, and measurable benefit, especially in communities that have been underserved relative to their needs. Simply put, the formula must stop institutionalizing a built-in advantage for incorporated cities and start functioning as a true countywide flood mitigation program. They should be allocated like public safety dollars, because that's really what they are, based on risk reduction, life safety, exposure, measurable benefit, and I look forward to continuing this conversation. Thank you, Board. I'd open it up to the Board.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Lettman.
So I applaud you directionally for where we're going on this, because in fact, I also believe that flood management dollars should go where the risk is, but I don't think it's as presently construed, I don't think it's appropriate to give one city a 30% hair clip on their fundings and the other city a 25% clip on their funding, because they've depended on that formula for the basis of their long-term planning. My approach would be that we form a subcommittee and we work with these four cities, the three cities, to come up with what an appropriate formula is. But I think directionally you're correct. More dollars should go into. I personally was part of the flooding going on in Ron's district around Fort Mojave. That's a bad scene, and more flood control dollars need to be moved into that area, and we're going to have to find out a way to do that. But I would prefer that we sit down with our city partners and work out revisions as we think is appropriate.
Appreciate that feedback. Again, it's my own personal view that these are public safety dollars. They should be absolutely going to where the risk is and the most benefit is. It shouldn't just be a rebate program. We shouldn't be sending the message that if you live in Golden Valley or Mojave Valley or one of these unincorporated areas, that you're going to get 2.4 times less value per your tax dollars than if you live in a city. So absolutely, I think that something has to be done, because 40% of our residents living in unincorporated areas, that's no small amount. And I don't think that that's going to stop. Supervisor Borelli, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. If I can actually get the mayor to come back up here. I have a question. It's a simple, quick question. Correct me if I'm wrong, but a couple of years ago, I do believe the county cut Lake Havasu's allocation already. Is that, do I remember right?
Yeah, Chairman, Supervisor Borelli, it was a change in a monitoring system that the county proposed. It's a monitoring system, so that did cut our funding allocation to help offset the cost for the monitoring system that the county uses at some level.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, and I think what that was is there's as the district is, there's administrative and system-wide, county-wide things that are of benefit to everybody, and so they take that money off the top before the sharing. Is that correct? Is that what you were going to say?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I was going to clarify
Please
that
do. Yeah.
that dollar amount is $600,000. It is intended and it's applied for the rainfall and weather monitoring system. It's taken off the top, so it does affect all recipients, all four cities and the county share. It's $600,000 taken off the top and then applied for those weather stations that are scattered strategically throughout the county to truly monitor and warn of flows, inwashes. But it does affect, it was not just limited to Lake Havasu City, it impacted all the recipients within this program.
Supervisor Martin, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As we know and talk about these flood issues, one of the communities in my district, Meadview, completely lost their water system for a long time and presented a huge challenge on that. And like I say, it was Meadview got it, Dolan Springs got it, White Hills got it, and Golden Valley. They got hammered too. So I agree that we got 40% of these people that live in unincorporated areas out there, but we can't, and they're paying the same thing as folks in the city do. But I think, and what I'm hearing is the cities have not been in consultation with the county about doing this. Is that correct?
As far as what's on the agenda right now?
Yeah.
No, this is put on for just dialogue. I'm not assuming that there's going to be a decision today. It's just to start the dialogue.
Okay, well, I say this. I recognize what the city is asking, and I think it's appropriate that the city be involved in the discussions with us and take into consideration their issues, just like we do with our unincorporated area.
Absolutely. Supervisor Borelli, you have a
Thank
comment?
you. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And to that point is, especially when you have one city, like Havasu City, actually collects almost 49% of all of it, and is actually going to be hit the hardest when you look at the three other cities: Bullhead, Colorado City, and Kingman. Lake Havasu has property taxes collected. That burden on Lake Havasu City residents is almost 49%, and to be gutted just because that city has a better tax base would be a disservice, because they still have to govern and protect their people. So I'd like to have the cities at the table.
Absolutely. And this isn't meant or intended to be an attack on our partners at the cities. This is us understanding and recognizing that we are the board of directors of this flood control district and trying to do right by everybody that's a member, everybody that elected us to be the board of directors of this countywide district. And I want, when we're capped out because of the formula that's in statute, the only thing that we can do is try to make those dollars go to where there's the biggest need. As far as engineering need, flood control risk, this is a public safety program. I mean, they're flood tax dollars, but it's a public safety program. And I don't mean to pick on Havasu. They get the majority because of the assessed value there, but they only have something like double digit in the floodplain, like maybe 2 to 6% in the floodplain, but they get the majority of the money. So unless we change something, unless we come together to change something to make sure that these dollars go to where the flood control risk is the greatest, so we don't get hammered in Mojave Valley, we don't get hammered in Meadview, there's no other, we just can't raise more money because we're already maxed out. The levy rate's maxed out.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Gould, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, and I agree. We need to start someplace. We could do this to the cities as the board, but I think it'd be a lot better if we work with the cities to figure out where we can save some money and where we can move some money. But I have a dramatic problem in Fort Mojave, just dramatic, and we need to spend some money in that area. But we need to start someplace. And I thank you for bringing it forward.
And to your point, I did mention Mojave Valley. They got rocked in that storm where we went to FEMA. We asked for relief.
Right, Fort Mojave.
Those people are paying the exact same tax rate as the people that live in Kingman and other areas, but they're getting 2.4% less value. They have to share a smaller amount of the flood control dollars. So I think we should just maybe pivot, all come together and have these tough decisions. There's no easy answer.
And if you took Fort Mojave looked at it as a city, it probably starts getting close to the population value areas of some of the other incorporated.
I think a lot of our unincorporated areas are getting to the size where they could be their own little towns, but people don't want to incorporate. So we're their mayor.
Yeah, and in this case, it's not going to make any difference other than it changes the formula around. But thanks for bringing it forward. We need to start somewhere.
Yeah. Would anybody like to take a stab at a motion as far as to get county staff and the cities together to start coming up with some ideas? I mean, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Gould, thank you.
I move that the board instruct county staff to work with the city staff towards a solution to this issue.
Thank you for that. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Again, thank you, Mayor Sheehy, for being here. Thank you for Councilor Ward for being here. Do we have a motion and a second? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you again, both very much. We'll go to the consent agenda now. Supervisor Martin, would you like to pull anything off of the consent agenda this morning?
I would like to pull item 31.
Thank you, sir. Supervisor Borelli? Supervisor Gould?
Number 19, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Supervisor Lettman?
Mr. Chair, I have no items to pull.
Thank you. And I'm going to pull items number 4 and number 9. Looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, minus items number 4, 9, 19, and 31.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Please have it. All opposed. Item number 4, this was requested to be pulled by Treasurer Mello. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman and Supervisors. I just want to make sure our constituents knew that we are having another tax deed sale. That's going to be held March 2nd through the 6th. 809 parcels will be going to the sale. It's all vacant land, and it will be an outright sale of the property. If there are any left unsold, those will be sold over the counter at the clerk of the board's office, and that will begin on April 15th. I want to thank the clerk of the board, Clerk Scooble, and her team, because along with Paul Gentry in my office, just do a phenomenal job with the tax deed sales since you reinstated it. Since 2019, when the board allowed us to resume, we have brought in over $1 million in tax revenue has been received just from the properties being back on the tax roll. So I know I promised balloons coming from the ceiling and fireworks, but not today. But we did meet that mark of $1 million. So thank you for allowing us to do this, and I expect another great sale this time.
Thank you, Treasurer Mello. Any comments to Treasurer Mello? Supervisor Gould? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Treasurer, so this is a deed sale, so this means that we sell these properties outright.
Yes.
Versus the tax lien sale, where we're selling liens that people can either redeem their lien or foreclose.
That is exactly correct.
So
yes.
These are outright sales.
Yes, outright sale of property, vacant land, 809 parcels done through the clerk of the board's office, her website.
Thank you, ma'am.
I would also like to applaud you guys using public surplus.
Yes, we do.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Item number 4. Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it. So ordered. Thank you. Board, I pulled item number 9. We have a request to speak from a citizen, Scotty McClure.
Scotty from Bullhead. I've commented before on you guys got the online newspapers at the library. It's working really good. And I can see the savings if you make all the newspapers. That would include the USA Today, and the Las Vegas Review-Journal, and the Sun. If you could get those online, and then you wouldn't have to pay these expensive yearly fees for these newspapers. It's got to be cheaper by going online, and I mean you put it in all the libraries, like the one in Fort Mojave. Also, we have room in Bullhead City there for a couple more computers, and they can't steal the newspapers. My goodness, how about that? I don't have to drive all the way down to Fort Mojave to read the damn thing. I'm not paying $3 for that rag. $4 in Havasu. Boy, what a savings that could be. You have several of them at the newspaper. I'm serious. This newspaper used to be so much better. And I don't get any disagreement from anybody. I can't believe I've got this much time. But yeah, you got a budget time coming up here real quick. In fact, some of the departments are doing it. But why pay the old money to this newspaper when you can put it all online? So get a couple more computers down there and get rid of those stolen newspapers and people doing the crossword puzzles. I guess you can still do them online or whatever, but save some money.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it. So ordered. Thank you. We'll move to, item 19. Supervisor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just was requesting that Director Latosky give us an overview of this item.
Good morning, Chairman Lingenfelter, Supervisor Gould, members of the board. This is an approach by which Parks has found quite successful in the past in bringing our schedule of events that are county-sponsored events that are Mojave County Fairgrounds as well as our regional park facilities. It largely centers around the fair and obtaining the board's consent, approval, if you will, of park staff to be able to solicit for certain sponsorships of these main large events, again with the Mojave County Fair. We are also taking a rather aggressive approach towards sponsoring a number of smaller community-based events at the fairgrounds throughout the year. It starts with a Valentine's Day event on the Saturday, as well as extends to 5 different Monday evenings of a craft-based type of event. But all of those events, in order to be successful, because we want to keep the participation fee small, would really demand a sponsorship. So that's why we bring this schedule to the board. And another couple of highlights with regard to new events that we're going to bring, rather than a Christmas Winter Wonderland, which is always weather dependent. We are going to do a Halloween type drive-through, a Halloween themed drive-through through the Walpi Mountain Park. Again, sponsorships are going to be geared more towards sponsorship of the decorating the various cabins and that. So I'll be happy to entertain any questions.
Questions from the board? Supervisor Gould?
No, I'm fine. Motion to approve.
Got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do we have a motion and a second? Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it. Do have it. So ordered. Item number 31, Supervisor Martin.
Thank you. This is kind of a complex deal, and I know I've been talking to the people in Chloride about it, but I would like the clerk to give an explanation to the public so they understand what's going on here.
Okay, so item 31 is last year the state passed SB 1218, which removes the judge of the Superior Court as the trustee and places the Board of Supervisors as the trustee. The 2 areas that this impacts is in Yucca and Chloride. For Chloride, this comes with monies of about $75,000 and 2 parcels that house the community center and fire station out there. For Yucca, there are approximately 5 parcels. At this point, we need just to do some housekeeping items, which is what we're asking for, is the authorization to move the physical records from the court to the clerk of the board. We're asking that the treasurer be authorized to open an account for the monies. And then number 3 is to ask the county attorney's civil division to work out the disposition regarding the parcels. There's some issues, apparently. They've worked with the AG regarding that. So we're just asking them to finish that, and then we can go forward from there. But the board would become the trustee of these areas.
Yeah, one of the things that this applies to is the people in Chloride would like to use that money to do improvements to the community center and whatnot. And previously, they would have had to gone to the judge, and now that's all changed, and we're going to become the trustees. And as soon as this happens, then the people out there can tell us what they would like to do with their money and make the improvements. So we're going to be the trustees, all of us. So I appreciate you explaining that to everybody, and I make a motion to approve.
Second. I have some comment also.
Open for discussion, Supervisor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is rather unique. At statehood, the state legislature, they set aside these township sites in every little community across Arizona in the expectation that they would evolve into towns and then into cities. Well, every place, it's happened every place except for Chloride and Yucca. No one ever came forward. There was land set aside for this also. So to sell this land, it fell under it might have actually been when they created the Arizona Territory. But it was the circuit judge that had authority over this. And then if they wanted to sell those parcels, they went through the judge, but they had to create a quasi-government to do it. And I got involved in this with Judge Gertler a few years back, and Judge Gertler had done the one in Chloride. So effectively, if you have to have an election, create a quasi-government, and then people bid on that land, and the money goes into a fund for that quasi-government is what we're talking about here today. Yucca Food Bank was thinking about doing this, but it was easier. The land is pretty inexpensive in the Yucca Township, and it was easier just to buy a piece of land than to go through this. And it gets put up to auction, so you don't know if the group that's interested in it will actually be successful in the auction. So it's just a holdover from the Old West, basically. But they need to be able to put this in account. I worked a little bit with Judge Moss on changing the language. I thought it was better to have the Board of Supervisors be in control of this than the judge. And the judges really didn't want anything to do with it anymore. So they were more than happy to give it up.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Supervisor Gould. We have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you. We have one more public hearing. Discussion, possible action. Approve the adoption of BOS Resolution 2026-028, a request for a special use permit for Assessor's Parcel Number 333-42-017 to allow for wireless communication facility with a 195-foot tower in an AR 36A agricultural residential 36-acre minimum lot size zone as required by court order in the Val Vista vicinity, Mojave County, Arizona. We have several people that have signed up to speak. State your name and address when you come up to the podium, and the first to go is Dirk Van Voris.
I guess it's good afternoon at this point. How are y'all doing today? I was here about a year ago.
We have your name and address?
Yes, it's Dirk Van Voris, 8586 East Huntington Avenue, Kingman, Arizona, 86401. We were here about a year ago doing the same thing, talking about this wireless tower that was going to be out in the middle of the desert. Everybody thought it was a bad idea then. I don't know why we're back talking about it now. Looks like there's a court order. So the first time, none of the residents or the property owners were notified. The only way we found out about it was because of the signs that were posted at the property. So no mailings were ever taken out. And if you look at the application for a special use permit, it is done. You have to, through your special use permit, provide letters to all the property owners. And the funny thing about that is the county is in charge of mailing those out. So this seems to be a common theme today, that not only our little deal here, but White Hills also was not notified. So maybe we need to find out what's going on. So this particular item with the cell phone tower, this is 2 times now, so 2 different instances where the property owners were not notified. That's kind of a problem. This tower will impact my business and my homestead that is out there, which is about 1,400 feet away from where they're going to place this tower. A year ago, I talked to the contractors about this, and they don't really seem to care. They just want to make money. Talked to the contractor about how we're going to get power up to this project. They said, well, we're going to run it up your easement, or we're going to run it up this easement. It's like, how are you going to do that? We don't have any easement contracts with you. That's still an issue that I don't think anybody's talked to us about. There's also the health risk with all the radio interference that this tower is going to emit, not only towards our property, but to all the other homes that are out there in close proximity. Last year was brought up about, Mr. Lingenfelter asked the contractors, can you disguise this 195-foot tower? Can you make it blend into the desert? And the contractor said, well, we can make it look like a palm tree or a pine tree, but you can't disguise that. And then at nighttime, the other thing they're going to have to do is put very, very bright strobe lights on because of the anti-collision. And that is, those things have to be visible for at least 3 miles.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Allison Van Boris. Next on deck will be Michelle Johnson. Yeah. Just as a reminder also, we're not able to answer your questions during the public hearing. Thanks.
Allison Van Boris, 8586 Huntington Avenue in Kingman. I have a prepared statement. In December 2024, I spoke to the board against the installation of a 195-foot cell phone tower across from my house. At that time, the board denied the installation, yet here we are a year later fighting the same cause. Nothing much has changed in my reasoning for not wanting to have that monstrosity in full view of my home. There are medical risks with being exposed to radio frequency radiation long term, including increased risks of cancer or chromosomal change, especially in children. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies radio frequency radiation as a possible human carcinogen, and can cause radio frequency sickness, which can be identified through symptoms such as headaches and/or migraines, insomnia, and sleep disorders, problems with concentration, memory issues, fatigue, and dizziness. Although some studies' results are inconclusive, does Mojave County believe it's prudent to take chances with its residents? In addition to the health risks, living within 3,000 feet of a cell phone tower can have immediate non-health related consequences. Real estate experts and peer-reviewed studies report that visible cell phone towers can reduce home values by up to 20%. Large towers are often considered visual blight and can clash with the neighborhood character, or, in our case, with the natural beauty surrounding our homestead. With 90% of home buyers concerned about nearby cell phone towers, placing one so close to our parcels is sure to affect us financially. When my husband and I were scouting locations suitable for retirement, Mojave County was at the top of the list. The open scenery, the wildflowers, the tranquility, and the slow pace drew us in, and we felt it was the perfect place to welcome future generations of our family. We spent 3 years lovingly building our homestead with our own hands and set ourselves up to be self-sufficient, as most of our neighbors have. If we want water, we haul it. If we want electricity, we capture it. And if we want cell service, we purchase it, mostly in the form of Starlink. Moving forward, we have to consider our health and the health of our family. I request that the board consider my stance and ask yourselves, would you welcome this for your own families? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Michelle Johnson. Stephen Kennedy, you're on deck.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Supervisors. My name is Michelle Johnson, 1426 North Marvin Street, Gilbert, Arizona, 85233. I represent Sun State. We will be the ones that are constructing the tower for Verizon and other carriers that would like to expand their service in this area. The reason for this particular location is because it is a microwave site, because there is not fiber out there. So it does have to be in a particular area that several engineers who actually Steve Kennedy is an RF engineer, and they have researched extensively where this tower does need to go. I know that somebody asked about stealthing it. 195 feet to stealth would be extremely difficult. I mean, obviously, we are open to, if you would like us to paint it to blend in to the surrounding areas, we're certainly open to that. We do comply with all FCC regulations as well as FAA regulations. As you all know, we are federally regulated as well as state regulated. So, you know, we understand we can't make everybody happy, but for the safety of people in the area, you know, you don't have service here. This is not this is not like a coverage issue. This is no coverage. So for those reasons, that's why we chose, not even us, this is why Verizon chose this location. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, ma'am. Steve Kennedy? Stephen Kennedy, excuse me. Stephen Kennedy, Litchfield Park.
Afternoon, Mr. Chair, Commissioner. Stephen Kennedy. I'm a radio frequency consulting engineer. I've been retained by Sun State Tower. I want to make a couple of statements. This site, if you guys remember, there's a site to the southeast that you approved about the end of the year 2024. This site is going to be a donor site to allow for the communication link for the other site to be able to make it back to the switching center. This was a very hard area to find that not only provided the coverage level needed for the wireless services, but also the requirements for the line of sight for backhaul to go from that site you guys approved to the southeast into the other site through this site. So this is important for two ways. When this site was designed, it had a follow through for the coverage objectives as well as the line of sight objectives, which is basically written in by, controlled by the amount of terrain in the area. It was a very fixed, small area that we could actually go. And within that area, this candidate was found. Among other candidates were found, but this is the only one that we were able to name a lease on. So it's a very important site. That site to the southeast that you approved will not be able to go in service or be constructed unless this site is approved. It is a dire need for this site to be approved. Once again, the coverage objective is to provide service for the area. We are regulated by the FAA and FCC. There's a determination no hazard from the FAA for this site. There will be no strobe light on this site. The FAA does not require it, and it is regulated by the FCC for all RF environmental effects. I stand for questions.
If we have any questions, we'll call you back after the public hearing. Thank you, sir.
Sir.
You can, right? You can, right? Or you can't? No, you can't. Craig Morgan? Please state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Craig Morgan, 1529 West Laurel Greens, Phoenix, Arizona, 85086. I'm just legal counsel for the applicant. I signed up just to make sure that I could answer any questions you have. I know if you have any, you'll ask me later, so I don't really have anything to say other than thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. If we have any questions after the public hearing closes, we'll call you back. Thank you, sir. Jill Martin? And Steve Campbell, you're on deck. You hand it to the clerk. Please state your name and address for the record. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Jill Martin, it's 8177 East Pauline Drive.
Okay.
Good afternoon, members of the board. I'm here today on behalf of my family to formally oppose the zoning change and special use permit for the telecommunications tower on the subject parcel we are discussing. God has blessed us with our property, and our journey to this specific plot of land is paved with hardship. After losing our daughter 9 years ago and surviving severe health crisis due to toxic mold exposure, we returned to Arizona to find sanctuary. We spent years of hard manual labor remodeling homes to save for this forever home. We chose this agricultural residential area specifically to raise our children, raise livestock, and to build a legacy farm defined by peace and nature. The proposed tower site is at the end of our driveway. And as you can see, this is the front view. So it would primarily be the view from our front door, permanently scarring the landscape that was foundation of our investment and our healing. We use Verizon, actually, and have 5G full access at our location. First, there is a lack of demonstrated necessity, and a zoning change of this magnitude should require proof of a gap in coverage, which we have. My family and our neighbors already enjoy full cellular service. There's no technical deficiency here that justifies industrializing an agricultural residential zone. Second, superior alternatives exist. If there is a need for capacity, it should be placed where demand is shown. In Exhibit A, there are industrialized corridors nearby, specifically along the large power lines or the railroad tracks across the highway. These locations offer significantly lower impacts on residential life. Third, we have deep concerns regarding environmental health and property values. Having fled toxic mold to recover our health, we are wary of long-term biological effects of radio frequency radiation. I ask that the scientific findings in Exhibit B be entered into the public record. Furthermore, studies show industrial towers can decrease residential property values up to 20%, and for a family that built our equity through physical labor, this is unjust financial blow to our child's legacy. Finally, we are alarmed by the lease agreement in Exhibit C. It allows Sun State Towers to acquire easements and sublease to invitees. This zoning could act as an open door to further non-agricultural commercial uses that are inconsistent with the county's ability to control the plan for this area. Growth is inevitable, but it must be responsible. Placing a tower where service is already sufficient and where it directly harms a family's recovery and well-being is not responsible. We respectfully ask the board to deny this request and direct the applicant to the industrialized corridors across the highway or across Antares. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Steve Campbell?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members. My name is Steve Campbell, and I live at 11231 North Benjamin. I own 80 acres directly behind the property being considered for this 195-foot telecommunications cell tower. When I was here a year ago, this new tower was voted down, and I spoke then. None of the facts have changed, so today I'm going to appeal to your common sense. I would like you to first visualize what you're voting on. The proposed tower is 195 foot tall. However, it will sit on a 150-foot hill. That makes this tower, no one's mentioned this, 350 feet tall. I was out there yesterday, I measured it. Elevation. I have both elevations from Antares up to the bench of where they're talking about. So we're talking 350 feet. This is equal to approximately 28 stories. Picture 8 Kingman hospitals stacked on top of one another. This is how tall the tower will be. It's monstrous in size for our little community there. Would you want this in your backyard next to your house? Do you think this would devalue your property? Would you worry about health effects on your family? Mine includes 3 children. I think you would agree with me and take a hard no on this proposal. But don't just take my opinion on these points. Real estate professionals consistently confirm that properties near towers suffer from long-term on the market, reduced buyer demand and diminished values. Losses on undeveloped and especially developed land surrounding this tower will amount to the losses of hundreds of thousands of dollars to individual landowners, some of which have already been up here. Not to mention, it will destroy the natural beauty of the land. Then there's the health concerns. I don't know if you, oh, there you go. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., United States Secretary of Health and Human Services, has this to say. This just came out last week in USA Today. 5G towers is a major health concern. He elaborated that more than 10,000 studies documenting ill effects from electromagnetic radiation, including cancers, tumor growth, and DNA damage. I have spent my entire career in technologies. One of my previous companies, we developed 911. Emergency cell systems. I understand telecommunications infrastructure. I also understand the science surrounding long-term exposure to RF radiation from these towers. The new tower will have multiple carriers with expanding arrays over time linking 5G and beyond. This means it is not a static tower. It will be an intensifying RF transmission site directly adjacent to our homes, children, and family. Verizon has itself publicly stated to its shareholders that it anticipates increased litigation related to 5G exposure. If health issues arise in this neighborhood, liability and litigation will not stop at the carrier. It will stop to the approving authority, the board. This is exactly how class action lawsuits begin. 2 sentences. I'll just sum it up. I respectfully urge the board to deny this special use permit. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was the last person that actually signed up to speak. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak on item number 33 during the public hearing? Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing. I'd open it up to the board for discussion. Supervisor Martin, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I correct me if I'm wrong here, but weren't we given a instruction that the health issue could not be considered in approving one of these? I'd ask our legal.
Attorney Davis, I would refer that over to you.
Chairman Lingenfelter, Supervisor Martin, correct. Section 704 of the Telecommunications Act of 1996 preempts this discussion unless the provider does not comply with FCC regulations.
Thank you. We've also got a list. I think we received direction of the questions that we could ask and regarding these cell towers, but I also think that in light of the fact that we have a lot of technical information here, and I don't think the board is prepared to take it carte blanche and say, okay, we believe everything you're saying. I think it'd be appropriate for our board to hire individuals who are also familiar with these technical questions and have them verify or not verify the information that's being proposed today.
Appreciate that feedback, Supervisor Martin. I would direct a question, I suppose, to Manager Elters. We get a lot of these cell towers, and right now we're 100% wholly dependent upon the data from an applicant's paid consultant. And I think that we would owe it to the county citizens that we represent to look into an on-call as needed county radio frequency site engineer to provide our board impartial, viable placement data, because that seems to be generally the issue that we run up against every single time. I'd feel more comfortable if we had an on-call as needed radio frequency site engineer on call that would go out to this area, fully analyze it, come back to the board with additional information and data so that we could truly make the best possible decision for the citizens that we serve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. Indeed, this is a specialized field and area. We do not have those resources in-house to review data and assess needs and applicability. I think the time has come to secure those services where we can reach out either as just one individual task or an overall review of a proposal or a plan. We can certainly, as directed by the board, reach out, solicit and retain an outfit or a consultant that can assess us, that can assist us, sorry about that, with this specialized field and area, and we will gladly act on that and secure that set of services so it's available to us. On this one, any other future requests?
I'd make a motion that we would then continue this item to allow the county professional staff to go out and publicly procure those services and to bring back under such a consultant that data to the Board of Supervisors so that we can make a well-rounded decision on this item. Motion and second, any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you. We'll move to the regular agenda. Item number 34, discussion, possible action, authorize the use of ballot guard paper from Runbeck Election Services for the printing of election ballots for the 2026 Mojave County election cycle. Exciting times.
Morning, Chairman Lingenfelter and the rest of the board.
Hurt your temper. Good morning.
Good morning. I just have a couple of words to say. I think you're going to like it, and Deputy Director Sumner is going to tell you why.
Thank you. Welcome, Karina. Deputy Director, excuse me.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, so just as a refresher, on April 21st, 2025, the Board of Supervisors gave Runbeck Election Services the election printing contract in requesting us that we use ballot guard ballot paper for the 2026 elections and after that as well. In September, we brought back a presentation to the Board of Supervisors. We told you that the ballots did tabulate properly, but they ran poorly. There was a lot of multi-feeds and pick errors because the ballots were sticking together when we were tabulating them. The board then directed us to go back with Runbeck and possibly other vendors to see how we could make this better for the 2026 elections. Runbeck sent us other ballots first with UV dead paper only. That was the only security measure on it. We ran those. They were 11-inch ballots, and we had no issues with those. 0 pick errors and 0 multi-feeds. We then ran the ballot guard ballot paper with all security measures, and they ran perfectly as well. 0 multi-feeds, 0 pick errors. Runbeck said they believed it was an issue with static, and there was so much static in the first round of ballots that they were sticking together. So we wanted to simulate a primary and general election, not just the 11-inch ballots. We wanted to test the 14-inch that we generally use during a primary and the 19-inch that we generally use during a general election. So we ordered test ballots from the 2024 primary and the 2024 general election with the ballot guard security measures in them. We tested all of those. It was a total of 10,500 ballots that we ran across our 3 election systems and software tabulators. They had significantly less errors. There was 0.7% of ballots having multi-feeds, where in the original test, 3.6% of the ballots had multi-feeds. And there was also a decrease in the pick errors going from 0.8% in the first test to 0.7% in the second test. They were mostly concentrated, those multi-feeds and pick errors were concentrated with the 19-inch ballot paper, which is what we use for the general election. And it's not uncommon in any election to have some ballots sticking together, just because paper does stick together. Runbeck then told us that during the first test, they did not allow the ballots to go through a staging period, so they did not let the ballots sit there for a day or two like they normally would in a live election. And with the second round of ballots, the 11, 14, and 19-inch that we tested for the second test, they did let those sit in a staging period. So that is why they were running smoother than they did the first time. The ballots, when they sit in a staging period, the static kind of evens out and it doesn't let the paper stick together as much. So that is why they ran smoother the second time. The ballot guard paper is estimated at an additional 15 cents per ballot. So that would be total based off of the primary and general elections of 2024. An additional $18,000 would be how much those would cost, which I know we discussed with you guys when we discussed the printing contract back in April. So I just wanted to remind you all of that. In the backup, you guys will see that their standard process at Runbeck is written in there that they do let ballot stage they remain in trays for 24 to 48 hours before they are sent to us, where that is not what happened during the first test. I will also add that Election Systems and Software did say that they do have a small concern that they encourage their customers to use the ballot stock that is certified with their equipment when their equipment does get certified, and the ballot security paper does not meet the criteria of that because they don't use ballot guard paper when they are certifying their machines. They are aware that there's a chance that if there's no proper staging from Runbeck, that the ballots may run poorly like they did in the additional test. So they did want us to express that concern, just so the board is aware. But the elections department does not have a concern. Runbeck's standard process is that they do allow staging for their ballots before they send them out for a live election. So we are not concerned with that. And with that, I will open up any questions.
Thank you. Comments from the board? Supervisor Burley?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I would just like to compliment Mr. Tempert for his brevity.
We love that.
I would say sort of a brief history of this. Prior to the county of Mojave going out with its own contract, we were using a cooperative contract. And then the former board, we said, let's lead the state and let's put out our own cooperatively or publicly procured elections ballot bid, and let's make sure that we put in cooperative procurement language so that other government agencies can use this contract. And I'm really proud of Mojave County for taking the lead in Arizona on this and offering this additional secure paper, and there's other things that we can do under the contract too, and that it's open and available to other counties, cities, other jurisdictions that want to, that they also care about election integrity in their own jurisdiction. So I just want to say thank you to everybody involved, procurement, everybody on that, and putting this in place. And I look forward to Mojave County probably being the first government in the state that uses this paper, or we're going to be the first one in the state that uses this paper, right?
We are the first ones in the state and in the country.
And in the country that uses this paper. So if the media is reading this and doing a story on election integrity, Mojave County is the first government to use this paper in the United States of America. Amen.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Karina, I'm concerned with when we ship the ballots out to the polling locations. I believe motion creates static. So I wonder if we're going to ship those out to the polling location, they're going to come back in the ballot boxes. Is there any chance we're going to pick up static again?
We
can't wait for 48 hours to have it dissipate.
Yeah, Chairman Fitzgerald, Supervisor Gould, we have not had issues with that in the past. I would expect part of that is that they do get separated when they are put in the ballot box and coming back to us. So they're not going to be in the same stacks as they are when we ship them out to the poll sites. So I don't expect that we will be having issues with that as we move forward.
Be nice to try it beforehand, before election day, if possible.
We can definitely do like a mock election, and I think that we would definitely be able to see how that can work for us.
Might want to try that before we be the nation's leader in ballots.
We can do a mock election for that.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Chairman.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Other comments? Supervisor Martin, thank you.
Thank you. You said that to use this paper, it's going to cost us an additional $18,000?
We partially, we did ask Runbeck what the cost was. They didn't give us an exact cost. I do know that when we discussed the cost in the beginning, they said it could be 10 to 15 cents more, but it's the more counties that use it, the cheaper they are. Since we are the only county using it, they are ordering that ballot paper specifically for us, and it's special to Mojave County at the moment, so it will be on the higher end of the cost. And we did not hear exactly what it would cost, but that is the estimate for now.
Well, from my aspect for election integrity, $18,000 is worth it, because rather than people appealing and chastising it, we spend this money up front and we know we're 100% on board, and it's right, and I think it'd be money well spent.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Borelli, you had a comment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And to that point, Runbeck already has 20 tons of this paper already prepared and ready to go.
That's correct, and we did discuss in our office that as soon as this is over, if the board does approve this and authorize us to use Ballot Guard, we will get in contact with Runbeck and see how we can get that paper transferred to us to be using in the 2026 elections.
Very good. Other comments?
And Mr. Chair, once again, this is also, there's legislation going through to do exactly what Mojave County is doing on the state level, but it's most likely probably not going to get a signature from the governor. But bottom line is we're still banging on that door for the statewide. But we're leading, and that's what counts.
Mojave County's leading the charge on this. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Gould, thank you.
I move that this item be adopted.
Thank you for that. You have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion?
Second.
Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. All right. Item number 35, discussion possible action, receive legal advice and update on Green and Sons LLC fiber connectivity contract and take any related action. I would open that up to the board for discussion or a possible motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Lettman, thank you.
I'll make a motion to authorize the CIO to sign the letter of breach from Green and Sons.
For that motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you. Item number 36, discussion possible action, approve the appointment of Karina Sumner as interim elections director effective March 2nd, 2026 to become elections director on July 5th, 2026. I'd open it up to the board for discussion or a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Manager Elters, excuse me.
may I provide
Of
an over? So thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. So Mr. Tempert, who was very brief in his presentation today, notified me a handful of months ago that he intends to retire this year on July 4th. As you all know, Alan has had a long and distinguished career with Mojave County and has done very well for us. Truly the standards that he has set make us look and feel really well about our elections. And I think I can safely say there are very few people out there, election directors or otherwise, that have provided or performed at that high standard. To that end, once he notified me of his intent to retire, and knowing that election directors are few and far in between, and this is really a special field, I spent some time talking to Alan about options and ideas and plans and his specific intents, and also about recruitment options and solutions. After a lot of discussion with him and Karina about what they have been doing in working together and the mentoring that has been taking place, and the fact that election and Karina has been with the county for multiple years. She is currently serving as the deputy director, and you heard her present, and has done well in that position. Alan has confidence in her and has been mentoring her truly even before he announced his intent to retire, but certainly since then. She is a Mojave County resident, has been since she was born, and she intends to stay, and she's not going anywhere. And I do believe what is being proposed here will provide continuity and stability as we transition from one to the other. With all that at hand, I did reach out to you, the board, knowing how important election
is in general to all of us and to Mojave County, and the standards that have been set by Alan, that we continue with those. And just to get a feel of your comfort level in placing this item on the agenda to go in this direction. I sincerely and strongly believe, with consultation in the industry, perhaps other counties and you, the board members, that if we were to recruit, there is really no guarantee that we would get seasonal or seasoned election director to apply and come to Mojave County, and knowing and trusting in the suggestion that sometimes you have to grow your own. And I truly believe in this, at this time, that we were better off to proceed with one of our own who has been in the department, is committed, has shown competence and interest. So what I'm presenting to you and what I'm asking you to consider will provide us a stable transition as we prepare for the primaries and the general election this year. So what I'm offering to you, or asking for your blessings on and your concurrence, is that Karina, who is the deputy director now, will function as an interim director on March 1st, and will become the election director on July 5th, which is one day after Alan retires. What I'm recommending to you is we give her a pay increase on March 1st when she becomes the interim director, that is relevant and appropriate for the additional responsibility. They will work hand in hand, and then again become the director on July 5th. The additional cost of both of them working together will be offset by the fact that we would not fill the deputy director position that she would be vacating until after the election, to give her a chance to get her feet on the ground, test the water, and to have a say into whether we do need a deputy director, and if so, to give her a chance and an opportunity to be involved. With all that said, in the FY 2027 budget, we've already discussed it, and we will be asking for a budgeted amount, something of a nominal nature, to be set aside for Ellen to assist with the primary or the general election, something on an as-needed basis, not as a commitment. And it would be with things like calibration, tabulation, counting, and so on. So that, in a nutshell, what's in front of you. After much thoughts and deliberation, and truly reaching out to others in our community, including our recorder and new board members, I really feel confident in this recommendation to you, and I hope you consider it. Thank you.
Thank you, Manager Elters. Supervisor Martin?
Yes, I am happy to concur with what Supervisor or what County Manager Elters has said, and I am pleased to make this motion that appoints Karina as interim and ultimately as the elections director.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Supervisor Borelli, additional discussion?
Yes, discussion. Yes, I was hoping Manager Elters would have learned some brevity from Mr. Tempert. But, training is maintaining, and maintaining is training, and it's always good to promote from within, and I enthusiastically support.
Thank you for that. Any other comments from the board? I would say, Alan, you've been here a long time, and you've just done a solid job. You've kept us out of the newspapers for all the wrong reasons, and or all the right reasons, probably, right? And I would applaud the succession planning. I wish that it'd be great if every department did that. So I support this as well.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Gould, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alan, you've been the election director as long as I have been involved in politics. I believe when I was Republican Party chairman, we pulled bingo balls out of the Cat in the hat to decide which precincts that we're going to do the test hound count on. You've always done a great job. I'm sorry to lose you. I'm glad to know that you're willing to come back as a consultant at the election time to give Karina a hand. But thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Lettman?
Alan, when's the retirement party? Where? We want to be invited. Congratulations.
We're going to hold you to that. Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it. Do have it. So ordered. Thank you very much. Item number 37. Yeah. Item number 37 for discussion only. Update from Director Latosky and Director Palmer on the status of building a county morgue and moving medical examiner services in-house by July 1st, 2027. I'm going to hand this over to Supervisor Lettman.
The clock is ticking. Director Latowski, if we could have an update on where we're at.
Morning, or good afternoon, I should say, Director Latosky. I understand you have a brief slideshow presentation to share.
I do, Chairman Lingenfelter, Supervisor Lettman, members of the board.
Thank you.
Yes, I think it's up there already. Few brief slides to provide the board an update on how the morgue development is progressing. First, this is a slide that just orients to the location of the target developed county morgue facility. We are looking at the former traffic control building on the Public Works campus. It's just right behind the Dollar General. And as you see here in the foreground of the image, Fleet Services, the Public Works building, as well as the emergency management buildings are all in that vicinity. So we'll have the Mojave County Fuel Farm literally just down the street for fueling vehicles, et cetera, and the Fleet Services for servicing vehicles. The board gave direction to the staff on November 17th to proceed with developing a county facility, a county-owned and operated facility for the Mojave County Morgue. Staff immediately proceeded and really identified a need to involve an architect with a specialization in forensic science buildings. We identified McLaren, Wilson, and Laurie of Phoenix as having that specialized expertise. They were the architect on the Coconino County Medical Examiner's facility, and they've developed 3 different forensic science buildings in Arizona. So we think that they are uniquely qualified and have a unique position in this planning and development process. So we immediately, right after the board gave us direction, we reached out to MWL for a proposal. The project still maintains a $4 million budget as we move forward, and our focus is on really delivering a remodel of the former traffic control building that is going to be equipped to deliver, best practice medical examiner functions, and as well as reconfigure it as a professional building. This is just a snapshot of the current situation inside the building. It's just used for some traffic control storage. We do have a plan with traffic control to relocate and provide facilities largely through an existing facility, as well as probably a couple of Connex boxes for our traffic control equipment. On January 12th, Selberg Associates, MWL, did desire to have a local architect as the prime architect, just for access to and knowledge of the local permitting processes, etc. So Selberg Associates will be our prime architect. They will include MWL as a subconsultant to the process. And as the board has already approved, we do have an approved contract. Staff, and I give procurement all the credit in the world on this. When we got that proposal literally 8 days ago, we managed to get this on the board agenda as a late ad, and I'd like to acknowledge Clerk Scuball as well for allowing us to do that. So we do have a contract that the board just awarded, and we'll get that in place. I do want to also express, as I move forward to this last slide, and also defer to Director Palmer on some of the staff equipment transition. I do want to emphasize that staff will do our level best to accelerate this project. That we have a very aggressive design period. We're going to try to wrap this up by the end of May. I've already scheduled a meeting with our colleagues at the City of Kingman for next week so that we can properly introduce the project, try to gain any and all information that they have in terms of concerns, questions for us. So I'll get our professional design team talking to the City of Kingman. Staff will be there as well. So we're going to do our level best to accelerate this, hopefully with a end of May completion, and try to get the project permitted. We're allowing 3 months for procurement and about an 8-month construction period. So with that, I'll turn it over to Director Palmer. I do want to make just one final note on Phase 5. You see the star there. That star should be shown at the end of June of 2027. So it's 3 months over.
Thank you, Director. Good afternoon, Director Palmer.
Good afternoon, Chairman Lingenfelter, Board of Supervisor members. So while Director Latowski's working on the building component, I am working with Human Resources on job descriptions. The budget has been created for part of fiscal year 27. The plan is to do a recruitment for the office, or for the medical examiner manager first, because policies, forms, all the behind the scenes components of running a medical examiner's office is going to need to be created. As soon as that person's onboarded, we will be recruiting for the forensic pathologist, and then we will begin recruitment for the investigative staff. Along with that, we are working on updating the list of vehicles and equipment that is currently held by the contractor to identify items that can be obtained by Mojave County. And then depending on what is available and what is not, then we will be working with finance, county manager alters, and other departments and procurement to procure the items that we will still need. Our goal is to have everything transferred in the month of June and then go live on July 1st.
Thank you, Director.
Mr. Chairman.
Manager Alters.
Just one quick add-on, which is if you looked at that timeline that was provided, and the completion of the project is intended to take place at the end of April. That would leave us May and June to ensure that any potential delays, hiccups, whatever, are accommodated, and that we have staff in place and a completed building to receive the equipment, to calibrate it, to test it and get it ready for a full operational phase on July 1st of 2027.
Thank you, Manager Alters. Open it up for additional discussion or a motion. Or there's no motion, excuse me. Any other discussion?
No, thank you.
Thank you both. We'll move to item number 38, discussion possible action. Authorize the chairman of the board to sign the recognition and attornment agreement between Olive Garden, the Mojave County Airport Authority, and Mojave County.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Lettman, thank you.
I'll move that we authorize the chairman to sign the agreement with the Mojave County Airport Authority and Olive Garden.
Second.
Heard that motion in second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you, board. Item number 39, discussion possible action. Receive advice from the board's attorneys and authorize the county attorney's office to retain outside counsel for the Acela Inc. contract dispute. Open it up to the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Lettman, thank you.
I move that we authorize the authorize the county attorney's office to proceed as directed in executive session.
Second.
For that motion in second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you very much. Item number 40, discussion possible action, receive an update from the procurement director regarding selection committees, direct staff regarding the possible adoption and implementation of procedures related to best value procurements Best Value Procurement Selection Committees. Director Acton. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chairman and board members. I will take some pointers from Alan, and I'll try to keep this brief. I did provide backup to the board. During your guys' meeting in November, you had brought up possible changes to our procurement code to solidify or strengthen the trust in our selection committee process. As I discussed during that meeting, many of the things that were suggested to be changes to our code, we are already doing in practice, but we did not have that practice in writing. And so I spent the last 60 days doing some additional research, looking into options to achieve all of the stated goals of the board in that discussion. I have already implemented a procedure. Our procurement code already allows me to develop procedures and practices to enforce the code. And so I wrote the procedure. We did look at options for citizen participants on committees. Ultimately, my recommendation doesn't include that. When we looked at the research of the actual cost to procure, depending on the complexity of the solicitation, it's upwards of $15,000 per $1 million spent. And that does track when I look at my budget and what staff time takes. And so there is not an option. We did work with the county attorney's office. There's not an option for us to create ordinances to make it like a criminal penalty. And so the only option we could have possibly had was to do extreme heavy damages on anyone that serves that is not a county employee. We'd be looking at the tune of about 1.5% of the total contract value. My concerns would be if we instituted something like that and then had consultant engineers or senior management officials of contracting firms that are required to serve on some committees to be compliant with Title 34, they would probably not be willing to sign up for those damages personally. And so rather than throw the baby out with the bathwater, I endeavored to document what we primarily are already doing, strengthening the parity of positions to make sure that you don't have a supervisor and a subordinate on a committee, strengthening the expectation that we won't have any one county department serve a majority on a selection committee so they can't sway the vote. But otherwise, what is in the procedure that I've created is stuff that we've already been doing. I don't believe that a procurement code change is made. I actually don't believe that any action needs to be taken on this. This was just me informing the board that I heard what you said, I took action, and we have already instituted this this was effective a week ago. It's not been in place for a long time, but my staff has already been trained on the expectations as it relates to selection committees and who will be making up selection committees, with a preference to try and get outside agencies for larger committees. If we're keeping it a 3-person committee, it will be internal staff just because of efficiency. But there are certain committees that are required to be more than 3 people. So if there are any questions about the procedure, I'd gladly answer those. I just didn't want to read the entire procedure to you and all of the backup that I provided.
Thank you, Director Acton. Any of the supervisors have any questions for Director Acton? Director Acton, I appreciate your time in going through this. I think there's always, never be satisfied with our previous best. If you're still doing things the way you were doing them 5 years ago, chances are you're probably not an excellent organization. You guys you're in the top 1% nationwide, and that's evidenced by the AEP award every year. So I appreciate all of that benchmarking that you continue to do. And thank you for keeping us at the very top of the profession in Mojave County, maximizing every dollar that Mojave County spends. So I'm satisfied with what you've put into writing as far as your department policy. If there's any other discussion, and I think it's already in policy, so I don't think that a motion is even really required on this.
No action needs to be taken. If in practice we find that this is causing problems for us, I would work with the county manager to possibly change. I don't think it will. Part of the procedure allows me to make exceptions if requested in writing, and so I think that would take care of if we find ourselves unable to fill a committee, my staff will need to justify to me how they endeavored to comply, and then it would be my determination to move forward. So Great. I think we're good how we are, and hopefully this just becomes a procedure that is documented as it's on our website, it's publicly available.
Thank you again. Kudos to you for the policy that you just implemented, and thanks for your department for
Thank you.
Small but mighty. Supervisor Gould, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could ask Attorney Davis, did we ever determine whether these kind of decisions are required to be made by a board rather than the Board of Supervisors?
Supervisor Gould, give you an imperfect answer. 11251 sets out how the board can enter into contracts and whatnot. So I don't think there is a bar from the board to get rid of. If the board wanted to, in theory, get rid of the procurement process and hear everything directly, there wouldn't be a legal prohibition against that, but for any preemption from state law that exists. The existence of this process is to shield the board from liability before it comes to the ultimate board decision at the end of the process.
It also shields us from making decisions. And this came out of an odd decision. I just wanted to remind the board of that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor. We'll move to item number 41. Discussion, possible action, direct county professional staff to attend at least one reclamation virtual public hearing, public meeting, regarding the post-2026 operational guidelines and strategies for Lake Powell and Lake Mead, the draft EIS. Further direct staff in coordination with Clark Hill to prepare written public comments on behalf of Mojave County for Board of Supervisors review and approval, and authorize the chairman to execute and submit the board-approved comments to reclamation prior to the March 2nd, 2026 deadline. This is obviously regarding the post-2026 river guidelines. I'd open it up for discussion or a motion. Supervisor Martin.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a very important issue for a lot of reasons. And one of the trickle-down effects will be we're getting ready to negotiate with the National Park Service about improvements to South Cove. And knowing what these things are in this, and your direction here, I intend to fully attend those meetings personally. But if we want somebody else to do, that's fine too. But because of the importance of it, I feel that I want to be there.
Thank you. Any other discussion points?
Chairman.
Supervisor Gould, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do you know if these hearings will be in Washington?
I believe they're online. These meetings are going to be virtual public meetings. So if you go onto Reclamation's page, they actually have a whole section of their website dedicated to this process. I believe the information as far as signing up to attend one of those or both of those virtual public meetings is available there. Obviously, I put this on. We have to represent and defend our on-river communities as a part of this process. Arizona being a junior signer to this compact, we have best case scenario right now is that Arizona would take a hit of like 760,000 acre foot on top of all of the other conservation that they've done. We want to make sure that we get our comments in to try to minimize the impact of any cuts as a part of that would come off of the river, because as we all know, it hits a lot different for our river communities. It's their 100% of their water source, whereas Central Arizona communities, they have a few options to round out their water portfolio. So we want to make sure that we get our comments in.
And I share those feelings with you, sir. I was just curious whether we're going to have to send them to Washington or whether they could do it online. I'm willing to send them to Washington. It borders on cruel and unusual punishment.
Mr. Chairman.
Wherever we have to go to do it, it's a
Thankfully, they're virtual. Manager Alters, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Gould, I was just going to point that out. They're virtual, so we can attend them online. There would be no need to travel. And I would further say, attending the meeting is really a prerequisite to hear their explanation before the review, and we will review it. We'll review it in-house. We'll review it with council, as the chairman is suggesting. Ultimately, it's the written comments that we will bring to the board, and the chairman will be authorized to tweak and sign at the last minute. We will get it in by the deadline, but it's really the written comments that we rely on, and they will go into the record.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor. Any other discussion points? Hearing none, I entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
With that motion and second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you, Board. Item number 42, discussion possible action, approve a revision to the Mojave County, we already did that one, excuse me. Move to 43.
Now that they've left.
Trying to truck on through. Yeah, let's revisit that one, right? No, 43, discussion possible action, consider the counteroffer from Mojave County Manager candidate David Strahl with the option listed there. I might entertain a discussion or a motion from the board.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Lettman, thank you.
I move to approve option B, which is to extend a counteroffer to Mr. David Stroll with modified terms as discussed in executive session.
Second.
For that motion and second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you, board. Item number 44, discussion possible action, authorize Human Resources Director to seek out and retain services of an executive recruitment agency at a cost not to exceed $60,000.
Motion to approve.
For that motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any additional discussion? Supervisor Martin?
I'm questioning this. If we're going to do a counteroffer, then we sure as heck don't want to authorize $60,000 for a headhunter. So should we not wait and see if Mr. Strahl accepts our offer? And then if he doesn't, we can do this, but...
Mr. Chairman.
Manager Elters.
Good point, and I was going to ask for permission to speak, just to point out this option only applies if the counteroffer and the discussion does not produce results. We hope that this process will achieve the intended outcome, and we have a county manager on board soon. If that for some reason does not happen, then we would have to either convene a special board meeting or wait 2 weeks for the next board meeting to act. This is really just being proactive and authorizing staff to act should the negotiation and the revised counteroffer that the board just would be authorizing fall short. It's really a precaution. It will not be acted on, and the money will not be incurred if it's not needed.
Any other discussion?
Need me to modify the motion?
Would you like to modify the motion?
I mean,
do we have a second? You want to retract this? The second was.
Yeah, I seconded his motion.
You want to retract that second so we can amend?
I'm going to modify my motion to a motion to approve, and that the check will not be written until the negotiations have ended with Mr. Strahl.
Thank you, Supervisor. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you. Item number 45, discussion, possible action regarding amending the current county manager contract.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we extend the county manager's contract agreement through July 3rd of 2026 and authorize an amendment to the termination clause. And as discussed in executive session, we would give a pay increase to Mr. Elters of $10,000 annually effective in the next pay cycle.
Second.
For that motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes appear to have it, do have it, so ordered. Thank you, board. We'll go to the call to the public. First signed up is Jamie Morgaine. Jean Morgaine. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Jim Morgaine, excuse me.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman, for having the call to the public. My name for the record is Jem Morgana. My home of record is 3665 East Diagonal Way here in Kingman. I no longer live in Kingman. I sold my property last year in large part because of the Wallapai aquifer water problem. Although this morning I left at 6 o'clock in the morning from La Paz County to come up and speak on the issue without realizing that the call to the public was moved to the end. So I'm a little hungry and coffee deprived. So I'm here today because Jack Earhart and I have co-founded a new PAC called Sustainable Groundwater, and we have written 3 letters. So the first letter that we wrote is to the ADWR Director, Tom
Buscansky.
Whatever, however it's pronounced, yeah. Requesting that he correct his error and immediately initiate an AMA designation process, which will stop the agricultural expansion that is now possible because the INA was overturned. We've also sent a letter to a complaint to the Attorney General May's office. The complaint is against the ADWR director for his unlawful and lack of appropriate application of the water management law when he designated the INA. And also a letter to the governor of Arizona asking her to hold the director accountable for his unlawful INA order, and both of them to support the immediate initiation of an AMA designation here in the Wallapai Basin. It is unconscionable that this county board has not initiated that request themselves. We do not have water to sustain the development that we have currently, and the idea that we should be able to develop the same way that Phoenix has been able to is irresponsible management of our aquifer. The AMA should have been designated back in 2022. It is the only water management plan that will address all of the issues and not just the agriculture. So, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Scotty McClure. John Holden, you're on deck.
Scotty from Bullhead. I just lost my place here. Olive Garden. I'm going kind of backwards here, not expecting an answer, but am I believing that they are going to build their restaurant behind Home Depot up at the end of a road where nobody, you can't see it from the highway? I'm not expecting an answer, but what a dumb location. Now, it looks like you guys are going to be making any place that's on county property. We got a whole bunch more slabs down there. I guess Bullhead City doesn't have a say-so on Olive Garden or not, which I'm sure they'd approve it because it's tax money. A bunch of Democrats that live there and they're on the city council. They just love raking in that tax money. But I guess they don't get a say-so. I'm just wondering if you guys can't move the executive session up 15 or 20 minutes in the morning, because you guys, like last week, it was, 9:51 before you got back to your seat. And today it was 10:05. You know, we sit here, call to the public is at the end of this session now. Still is and still going to remain there, I guess. Now, since you've taken over the airport, who are you going to have run it? These clowns that you've had down there before? And I've made a statement before that these guys need to go to jail. So who's going to get Mr. Davis here to get us a grand jury that will bring them to court before a judge? And I want to be in that courtroom. I want to hear these prosecutors go after these bastards. Excuse my language. But there's some people that belong in jail.
John Holden? Okay, Penny? Let's give Penny 6 minutes.
Penny Holding, Kingman, Arizona. For the last 2 weeks, I've been trying to get information regarding the voting process, specifically verification process of the voting application of whether Mr. David Michael Rose is eligible to vote or hold office. I started in the recorder's office and spoke to Monique, the supervisor, and was told I could get a copy of the voting list, but they wanted to charge me $93.75. I explained to him I didn't want a voter list, I want a copy of his voter application. I asked her when a person comes in to register to vote, what procedures are in place to make sure they are eligible to vote. She stated that the applicant checks the box stating that the eligibility to vote under penalty of perjury, but they do not verify application at this office. I said that what department and what person checks accuracy of an application. She stated the voter list is sent to the courts every quarter and whenever it's requested. So I sent a public request to Christina Spurlock. I received an email back. They do not check for eligibility whether a person has any out-of-state felonies or felonies in state. They only get a list for jury duty purposes only. So that wasn't done. So I filled out 12 more public information requests to the election office and the recorder's office and to whomever it's supposed to. Received an email from Karina Sumner in elections stating they don't check eligibility. They only check to see if a candidate is listed on the voter list and is living in the area required for the position. So after many back and forth emails with Lydia Henry, our recorder, in which she insists on me paying $93, she did send me a link to the State of Arizona Election Procedures Manual 2025 along with the Arizona statute. So on page 20 of the manual, it states in there if a registrant has a felony conviction from another state, they're eligible to register to vote in Arizona where the civil rights has been restored in the state of conviction. However, if you look up ARS 13-908, Section C and D, both of them say that the person shall file the application for the restoration of the civil rights in the county in which the person now resides. The restoration of civil rights is in the discretion of the judicial officer. So in my opinion, these two contradict each other, and the elections manual omits critical information. So what's the real answer? The election procedure manual, also on page 21, states that the registrant must affirm under penalty of perjury that they're not barred from registering to vote due to a felony conviction. But it also states a county recorder has no duty to verify whether the civil rights of a registrant with a felony conviction has been restored or may rely on the registrant's affirmation when registering to vote. So if the applicant commits perjury by checking the box on the application form, there is no process in place to catch it and to prosecute them for perjury. So Ms. Henry sent me an email. Mr. Rhodes registered on January 22nd, 2022 through the Arizona Department of Motor Vehicles. However, in her email that she sent me on the voter list, he was put on the voter list on January the 11th, 2022, 11 days before his application was received into the recorder's office. So I'm asking you, how is that possible? So basically what I found out is in this last 2 weeks, no one verifies eligibility of the voter application from Mojave County or anywhere else in Arizona. The information on the voter list is not accurate because there are 11 days he was on the application before they even received it. Arizona's election manual contradicts itself. The election officials must research the statutes and the case law. And in doing so, our recorder, Lydia Henry, endorsed Mr. Rose for the position of LD 30, which it appears to me that that's misleading the public into thinking he's eligible to vote for verification. So my question to you today is, when Lydia Henry put out the post of Facebook that there's 194,000 plus voters in Mojave County, how many of those voters truly are eligible to vote? The answer is you don't know. When Alan Tempert got up here at the podium and guaranteed that no one would get past him and vote that is not eligible. How is that possible? The next question is for you, Mr. Borelli. You came down here and you gave a presentation on voter integrity, stating you wanted one-day voting, ballots on watermarking, and hand count of the ballots. Did you know that voting applicants were not verified for eligibility to vote prior to being placed on the voter list? While you were in legislation for all those years and represented the people of Mojave County, was this never discussed? Was the basic process never examined? Would it not be in the best interest of the people and the integrity of voting process to verify eligibility of applicants prior to putting them on the voter list? I hear all the Republican candidates over the last few years talk about voter integrity on their campaign trails, but is that just a talking point for the votes? The fact that applicants registered to vote is not being verified for eligibility is a major concern to me, and I am sure many other voters in Mojave County and Arizona. Because of this, I would like to request at this time it to be investigated and put on the agenda for to be addressed at your next Board of Supervisor meeting or in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Jennifer Esposito.
Jennifer Esposito Kingman. I wanted to talk about the animal shelter fees, but first I'd like to say something about Penny's remarks. She's correct. When someone comes from out of state and just swears on an affidavit that they don't have felonies, it's on them, you know. But we now know that several liberal states have been giving, CDLs to illegal aliens with no ID at all. So theoretically, they could move in to Arizona, go down to the MVD, hand over their CDL, and I don't know, tick the box, register to vote. The fact is, David Michael Rose is not eligible to hold his current office, any other office. He did register to vote. The case law is clear. I have three separate case precedents. The statutes, 13907 and 908, require that an out-of-state felon file in the Superior Court. They don't even charge you. I mean, it literally takes a simple Google search. You just have to put it into your phone. One question: I have out-of-state felonies. Am I able to register to vote in Arizona? You're going to get a whole page full of things, including lawyers who are willing to help you fill out the paperwork. David Michael Rose said last night at the precinct committee meeting, "Oh, I triple checked. I'm good. I've got this thing from the state of Kentucky." Well, his lawyer, which represented himself as the school board lawyer, and representing him as the chairman, but Mr. Rose said last night that he hired him as his campaign lawyer, so we don't know who actually paid for the lawyer's time, sent me a cease and desist letter that showed this Department of Corrections thing from the state of Kentucky. And it says it's only good for Kentucky. I mean, it's very clear. And I checked the court records, and Mr. Rose has never, ever filed in Superior Court to have his rights restored in Arizona. So after hundreds of hours of reading case law and statutes and asking for second opinions and due diligence, I filed a felony criminal complaint against David Michael Rose with the Arizona Attorney General's office. And we're going to let them decide if he's eligible or not. But what Ms. Holden has discovered is kind of disturbing, because anybody can come from another state. And this guy has multiple felonies. He's got quite a long record. I could not verify if he still has any out-of-state warrants in Pinellas County, Florida, or in Ohio. Not all. Some of the records are old. We don't know. But we don't know how many felons are on the Arizona voter roll statewide who just said, "Yeah, I'm good." Because what we need, I think, is a cooperative agreement between states that when transferring perhaps driver's licenses from one state to another, maybe there could be some sort of information sharing between the separate departments of corrections. It's just a thought. I'll talk about the animal control thing next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was the last speaker. We are adjourned. Thank you, board.